I draw.
Hello,
I exist. Gabuka.
my dear,
Proto-Panzer.
emotionally
Fascist.
exhausted
Don't eat
friend of
glowing
sleepy
mushrooms.
history. Burnt out from work, heartbroken, existentially confused? Well, put all that nonsense aside. Because tonight, you're not a middle manager. You're not someone left on read. You're not even a functioning member of modern society. You are the ancestor of the entire human race. Yes, you. Congrats. No pressure.
My knees.
Welcome to the Quaternary period around 2.6 million years ago, where you had no deadlines, no rent, no crying babies, just ice, rocks, and the daily thrill of not dying stupidly. Can I poop safely without getting eaten? You were cold, confused, and inventing things by accident. And yet, you thrived. Barely. So wrap yourself in mammoth hair and settle in. This is your bedtime story. And before you snore into extinction, before you drift off, leave a comment with your current time and date. Let's see if the timeline forgot about you too. Hello, ancestor. Now close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Feel that icy breeze in your non-existent pants? Good. You've just landed in the Quaternary period, roughly 2.6 million years ago. Welcome back. No phones, no taxes, no Monday meetings, just endless snow, oversized animals, and the thrilling knowledge that one wrong move could get you eaten, trampled, or worse, mocked by the tribe. You're naked, you're cold, but don't be shy, nobody here has invented shame yet, or pants. So walk proud, my prehistoric king, or queen, or whatever the Ice Age equivalent of slay is. In this world, dignity is a luxury. Lim Esai, gone. Your entire purpose now is don't die. Because if you do, humanity never happens. No memes, no coffee shops, no Spotify playlists about your ex. So take that stick, squint at the sun like it owes you money, and march into the blizzard like the confused, heroic, possibly concussed proto-human that you are. Because tonight, we begin the story of how our species crawled out of the frost, invented civilization, and immediately started ruining it. Welcome to the Quaternary. It's cold, it's cruel, it's kind of funny. Let's begin. The Ice Age and the First Days of Ignorance. Diary of an Ancestor, Day 1. I woke up naked and freezing. Is this Earth? So apparently I exist now. No intro, no tutorial, no welcome gift. Just boom me, face first in snow, shaking like a leaf in a snowstorm. Which is ironic because there are no leaves, just endless white and vibes. Temperature update, freezing, like nose froze to my own face level of cold. Breath turns into icicles. My toes? Gone. I mean, they're there physically, but emotionally they've checked out. First thought, why hasn't anyone invented clothes yet? Like seriously, it's day 1 and I'm already questioning the management. So I try walking. Big mistake. Snow is not friend-shaped. It's leg day simulator 9000. I fell 3 times in 5 steps and slid down a hill like a sentient meat popsicle. Found a cave. No door. No Wi-Fi. No bed. But hey, it's wind-resistant and the bats don't bite much. Welcome to the luxury life of 2.5 million years ago. Tried to eat a rock. Didn't work. Tried to chase something fluffy. Ran like my rent was due. Failed. Settled for licking snow. Tasted like sadness. Night hits. The wind howls like my ancestors trying to give me life advice. But turns out it's just my stomach growling on hard mode. Note to self, invent food. Also tried sleeping. Can't. Every time I close my eyes, I hear suspicious growling. Is it a bear? Is it me? Unclear. Best part? No responsibilities. No taxes. No emails. Just me, hypothermia, and existential dread. Honestly, 10 out of 10 weirdest Monday ever. Tomorrow I might invent socks, or fire, or depression. Who knows? But today I survived. Naked, confused, cold, but alive. End of day 1. Still no pants. Still no clue. Still iconic. See you in day 2. If the snow doesn't eat me first. Diary of an Ancestor, day 2. Toilet thoughts and other disasters. Woke up with a mission today. Figure out where to poop. I know, day 2 of existence, and this is the hill I choose to die on. But listen, yesterday's snow snacks had consequences. Natural consequences. Urgent consequences. Turns out there's no toilet, no hole, no designated poop zone. So I did what any responsible early human would do. Walked in a random direction until the shame disappeared. So I waddled behind a bush. Okay, more like a snow-covered disappointment. Squatted, and boom, mission complete. Felt proud, felt powerful, felt free. Until I looked around and thought, wait, now what? Like, where's the leaf? The wipe? The toilet paper aisle? Oh right, those don't exist yet. Because apparently evolution thought it'd be cute to give us butts before inventing cleaning products. Panicked. Looked at a snowball. Snowball equals bidet? Reader, I tried it. Immediate brain freeze. Regretted all my life choices. Now my butt cheeks are on strike and I have frostbite in places I didn't know could feel feelings. Note to self. Do not use snow as toilet paper. Do not eat yellow snow. Do not trust your instincts. Then came lunchtime. Saw a squirrel-looking thing. Tried to chase it. Turns out it chases back. Got bit. Cried a little. Not proud. Retreated to the cave to nurse my emotional wounds. Stumbled upon something incredible. A stick. Not just any stick. Cool, stabby-looking one. Am I a genius now? A hunter? Immediately tried to spear a bird. Missed. Hit my own foot. Now I'm limping and emotionally injured again. Discovery of the day. Pain is real. Also, sticks are not friends. Sticks are betrayal in wood form. Tried talking to my reflection in a frozen puddle. Yelled, "Who am I?" At it for 5 minutes. No response. Ghosted by my own face. Mood. Confused. Chilly. Slightly feral. Night came fast. Lay in the cave listening to wind noises and the occasional stomach growl that sounds like a bear. But plot twist. It's just me, hungry and hollow inside. Questions I have for the universe. Why do I have so much hair but none of it covers the important parts? Why is everything cold, bitey, or pointy? Why does food have legs? Also, still no fire. I tried rubbing 2 sticks together for an hour. Ended up with a splinter and an existential crisis. Achievements unlocked today. Invented sadness. Discovered the power of regret. Pooped in the snow and survived the emotional fallout. Honestly, being the first human is a lot like being in a bad reality show with no prize money and only frostbite to show for it. But hey, I made it to day 2. Still no clothes. Still no clue. Still deeply iconic. Tune in tomorrow when I maybe invent fire. Or language. Or sarcasm. Depends on how many squirrels bite me. Day 3. Fire? What fire? Woke up this morning with a raccoon sitting on my face. Not sure if we're friends or mortal enemies. Either way, it screamed. I screamed. We both fell off the rock. Great bonding experience. Anyway, still cold. Cold like, I wish I had skin kind of cold. My butt cheeks have frozen into one solid unit. Sitting down now feels like snapping a Kit Kat in half with pain. Decided to walk around again. Snow everywhere. Trees look like sad broccoli. The sky is the color of depression. But then suddenly, a flicker in the distance. A light, a warm, glowy, dancing light. I thought, holy crap, the sun fell down here? I approached with the elegance of a three-legged goat on ice. Got closer. It moved, crackled. It smelled like hope, or maybe toasted squirrel. I stretched my hand toward it. Then boom, my finger sizzled like bacon. I screamed. The fire screamed back. Okay, maybe it was me again. But what sorcery is this? I sat there for hours just staring. It was hypnotic, warm, alive. It didn't talk, but somehow it knew I was lonely. A glowing friend, my first crush. Her name is Fire. Tried to hug her. Mistake. 0/10. Do not recommend. Spent the rest of the day collecting sticks to feed her. I think she likes snacks. Who doesn't? But when night came, Fire got smaller. Panicked. Fed her everything. Sticks, dry moss, even my squirrel pelt. She still faded. It was like watching someone die, but slower and smellier. Eventually, she went out. Heartbroken. Cold again. Alone. Smelled like grilled cavemen. Conclusion. Fire is a diva. She comes, she glows, she burns you, then leaves you cold and emotionally damaged, just like Brenda from Cave Across the River. But hey, fire exists. I didn't invent it, but I saw it, touched it, got second-degree burns from it. That's practically a scientific discovery. New goal. Figure out how to make fire come back, or invent jackets. Whichever comes first. Also, I pooped again. Still no idea what to do after that. Just kinda walked away slowly. Life is confusing, but warm, glowy things make it slightly less terrible. End of day 3. Day 4. I licked a rock and I liked it. Woke up today with my tongue frozen to a rock. Don't ask. Apparently, in a moment of extreme curiosity and hunger, I licked a shiny stone because it looked delicious. And by delicious, I mean it vaguely resembled roasted chicken if you close one eye and have a concussion. Spoiler, it was not chicken. Also spoiler, tongues can get stuck. That's a thing. Spent 15 minutes yanking my face off that evil rock while sobbing and whispering, "This is fine. I'm doing great." Anyway, moved on. Still hungry. Snow doesn't taste like anything except disappointment and sadness. I tried to nibble on bark. Crunchy, but not in the good way. Then I saw a tiny furry thing hopping around. It looked edible. Possibly. I gave chase like a toddler in a onesie chasing a cat. Did I catch it? No. Did I fall into a bush and cry? Yes. Nature, 4. Me, 0. Decided to look for berries. Found some red ones. Thought, red equals fruit equals yum. Ate them. Immediate regret. Mouth burned. Eyes watered. I think I briefly transcended space and time. Might have met a ghost. Name was Larry. Lesson learned. Not all red things are strawberries. Some are spicy death balls from Satan's garden. To cope, I started talking to a stick I named Greg. Greg listens. Greg never judges. Greg would never run away like the squirrel. We had soup together. By soup, I mean hot water in a hole with moss. Michelin would rate it negative stars. Night came early today. Wind started howling again. I swear the trees are whispering gossip about me, probably calling me rock licker. Rude. As I curled up next to a pile of warmish mud, I thought, is this what being human means? No phone, no pizza, no dignity, just licking rocks and naming sticks. But honestly, I'm kind of vibing. I don't have bills. I don't have emails. I have Greg, and that's enough. End of day 4. Still no fire. Still no clothes. But now I have a stick friend and a mildly injured tongue. Progress. Diary of a special day. The day I fell in love, literally, while pooping. I didn't wake up that morning planning to fall in love. I just wanted to poop in peace. You see, life as a prehistoric, almost human is tough. You fight for fire, you chew on roots like a depressed beaver, and most of the day is just not dying. So when I squatted behind the big rock, my usual poop spot, not too far from the cave, not too close to the snakes, I was just trying to do what nature demanded. And then I saw her, across the bushes. She glowed like the sun hitting a mammoth's butt at sunrise. Strong jaw, big forehead, eyes like 2 confused berries. My heart thumped louder than thunder. Or maybe that was the diarrhea. Hard to say. But in that moment, I knew one thing. I was in love. I panicked, of course. I hadn't even wiped yet. Do I grunt a greeting? Do I throw a shiny rock? She was just staring at a tree, like it had secrets. I had to impress her. Now, we don't have flowers. We don't have love songs. We have rocks, mud, and vague hope. But then I saw it. A single fruit, round, red, hanging high above. That's it, I thought. She doesn't want cave paintings. She doesn't want fire. She wants fruit, and I will give it to her. So I did what no one in our tribe ever dared do. I stood up, all the way, on 2 legs. The others said standing straight was a bad idea. They said it made your knees angry and your back yell at you in sleep. But I didn't care. My heart was louder than my joints. I stretched. I wobbled. I howled in pain. But I stood, and I reached for that fruit like it was my destiny. Like the future of love, of humanity, of everything depended on this one awkward, wobbly moment. What happened next? Well, let's just say I screamed, fell into a bush, got stung by bees, and may have farted loudly on impact. She didn't say anything, but she didn't run away either. She just blinked and handed me another fruit. Reader, she noticed me. Day 5. Still no shower. Still no shame. Okay, it's been 5 days. 5 days. No bath. No wipes. No clue. Water? Haven't even seen it, let alone bathed in it. So yeah, I stink. Not in a cute, just came from the gym way. I smell like wet goat armpit marinated in old socks and regret. But honestly, I've gone nose blind. The stink has fused with my fur. I am the smell now. I walk past trees and they lean away like, bro. Still, hygiene is a luxury for people with plumbing. I have bigger problems, like food. I'm so hungry. I stared at a rock for 20 minutes wondering if I could emotionally gaslight myself into thinking it's a potato. Spoiler, it wasn't. Spoiler 2, broke a tooth. Today's plan? Make tool. Smash things. Eat something. Simple. So I grabbed 2 big rocks. Slammed them together like I knew what I was doing. Result? Hit my finger. Screamed. Bit Greg the stick out of frustration. Sorry, Greg. Eventually, I made a tool. It's basically a sharpish rock that now has a tiny bit of my blood on it. I shall name it Austin. Armed with Austin, I went hunting. By hunting, I mean I snuck up on a rabbit, tripped on my own foot, and landed face first into a patch of frozen poop. Delicious? No. Humbling? Absolutely. Later, I found a dead fish on the ice. Questionable smell. Eyes missing. But hey, free protein. Do I know how to cook it? No. Do I care? Also no. I licked it. Immediately regretted it. But calories are calories, and I didn't die. Yet. Night comes again. Still no fire. Still no socks. Just me, Austin, Greg, and this evolving crust of stink coating my body like prehistoric cologne. But hey, on the bright side, I didn't die. I made a tool. I gained 0.00001% of a survival skill. And I think I'm starting to get used to this. End of day 5. Still feral. Still food motivated. Smelling worse. Living better. Tomorrow I might invent deodorant. Or bread. Or common sense. Probably not. P.S. Greg forgave me. We're stronger than ever. Unless I get too hungry again. Then all bets are off. Ancestor Diaries. Day 6. I accidentally invented fire. Also, I may be a god now. This morning I woke up with a mission. Actually, no. I woke up because a squirrel sat on my face. But once the rodent trauma wore off, I had a thought. I need heat, or socks, or death, in that order. Still freezing, still hungry, still smell like a rejected Yeti. So I did what any ancient genius would do. I started smashing rocks again. Not for science, not for survival, out of pure primal frustration. Greg, my stick, cheered me on. Austin, my rock tool, judged me silently. I kept smashing. Clink, clank, bang. Suddenly, spark. Tiny, glowy, warm, spark. At first I thought it was a hallucination. Like maybe the cold finally cooked my brain. But then smoke, which usually means danger, or barbecue. So naturally, I panicked and ran in a circle screaming, "What is this magic?" But then, the spark hit a dry leaf. Flame, actual flame. I screamed again, this time in pride. I am fire. I am warmth. I am the sun now. Greg caught fire a little. R.I.P. Greg 2.0. But guess what? I had fire. Hot, bright, life-giving fire. Cue caveman victory dance. I burned my foot during it. Worth it. Now everything's changed. I can see in the dark. I can cook things. I can roast fish instead of licking it. I can warm my butt without rubbing it against rocks. I am a changed man. The animals stared at me from the dark like, whoa, who gave this crusty, hairy goblin divine power? Even the wind respected me tonight. Didn't howl like usual, just kinda nodded. Before sleeping, I looked at the flame and whispered, "From now on, you are Blazy. Never leave me." Blazy went out 2 minutes later. I cried, "We'll relight tomorrow." Diaries, Day 7. I tried cooking. I regret everything. Blazy is back. I managed to relight the fire this morning with 2 rocks, a whole lot of grunting, and what I think was a prayer to the sky. Mood powerful, inspired, hungry, so I had an idea, a big one. What if I put meat into the fire instead of my foot? Genius, right? I found some suspicious-looking bird meat I foraged. Read. Stole from a wolf's lunch while it wasn't looking. I jabbed it on a stick, held it over Blazy, waited. 5 seconds in, sizzle. 10 seconds, smoke. 20 seconds, black, char. Apocalypse. I panicked and flung it across the cave. It hit the wall, bounced off, and somehow landed on my head. I screamed. Again, I do that a lot now. Anyway, cooked meat smells amazing. Tastes like burnt regret and crunchy sadness, but also slightly less like disease. So I tried again, this time slowly, carefully, medium rare, or maybe medium raw, who knows? After 3 tries, I finally got something edible. Almost cried. Not from the flavor, from the fact that my mouth still doesn't understand hot. Burned my tongue. Again. Other discoveries today. Cooked food doesn't run away. Highly recommend. A smoke makes your eyes cry like your favorite mammoth just dumped you. Fire plus cave equals cozy, but also smoky. Now my cave smells like grilled cavemen. I think I might start a restaurant. Name, Hot Rock Cafe. Menu, burnt bird and whatever doesn't kill me. At night, I stared at the stars and whispered, if I die, tell the future people I discovered flavor. My stomach made noises, loud ones, concerning ones. Either evolution is happening inside me, or I gave myself prehistoric food poisoning. End of day 7. Invented cooking. Burned half my face. Still better than raw squirrel sushi. Tomorrow, might invent flavor, or seasoning, or the toilet. I feel like I'm gonna need it. Send prayers. Ancestor out. Slightly crispy. Ancestor Diaries. Day 8. Thunder? God's fart? Unclear. I was just vibing. Laying on a smooth rock, belly full of burnt bird. Finally thinking, hey, maybe being a naked wilderness gremlin isn't that bad. Then the sky screamed at me, like, louder than my stomach on day 2. I shot up so fast I headbutt the cave ceiling. Now I have a bump the size of a baby mammoth on my forehead. At first I thought the mountain exploded. Or maybe the fire gods were mad I burned their precious squirrel buffet. But then, flashes of light. Sky disco. Oh crap. The sun is flickering. We're all gonna die. Then another crack so loud I peed a little. Just a little. Okay, maybe a lot. I screamed into the wind. Who's up there? I'm sorry I burnt the chicken. No answer. Only rain. New discovery. Rain is the sky's way of spitting on you when you least expect it. At first I was excited. Finally, water for drinking, for washing, for, I don't know, existing. But after 5 minutes, soaked, shivering, mud everywhere. My cave turned into a soggy puddle of disappointment. The fur on my back now weighs 12 pounds and smells like wet disappointment. Also, rain is not equal to shower. Do not be fooled. You do not come out cleaner, only sadder. Things I thought today. If the sky is angry, does that mean it has feelings? Why does thunder sound like someone stomping on a giant bag of chips? Should I invent a roof? Also, I slipped and fell face first into a puddle. Tasted like worm soup and shame. Later, I sat outside and tried to talk to the sky. Hi sky, it's me. Please stop screaming. Then the biggest thunderclap of all hit. I screamed back. I think we're even now. End of day 8. Learned that water falls from the sky. Learned that sound can make you cry. Learned that thunder is terrifying and also kind of metal. Tomorrow, I might invent a blanket or emotions. I feel things now. Ancestor out. Still wet. Still confused. Still iconic. Ancestor Diaries,
I draw.
Day 9.
I exist. Gabooga.
I invented art.
Proto-Panson. Fascist.
Woke up
Don't
this
eat
morning with
glowing
dried
mushrooms.
mud in my ears, a crick in my back, and a bird sleeping on my chest like I'm some kind of prehistoric Airbnb. I gently tossed it off like, "Sir, this is my cave. Rent's due in berries." object flew away, probably offended. Whatever. Then I noticed something. The cave wall had a weird shape like a mammoth but drunk. I stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I stared at my hands. Then back at the wall. And suddenly it hit me. What if I draw stuff? So that's how I invented art. Probably. Dipped my finger in some old burnt ash. Started doodling on the wall. A mammoth. A tree. Me holding a stick and screaming at the sky. A self-portrait. It looked like a potato with anxiety. But it felt amazing. Like I didn't know what I was doing, but my brain was yelling. Yes, create, express, become the main character. Even though my art skills were garbage, I felt like a genius. Like, move over, future Picasso. I just painted a saber-toothed cat with 2 legs and a mullet. Some things I discovered while making cave art. Charcoal makes great eyeliner, too. Every wall is a canvas if you're bold enough. Accidentally licked the pigment. Now my tongue is black. No regrets. I may have invented memes. Drew a bird screaming at the moon. Captioned it in grunts. Halfway through drawing a deer, I got emotional. Like, wow, this is legacy. I am making marks that last. Even if they look like but. Then I realized I was out of ash, so I tried crushed berries. Now the wall smells like regret and fermented fruit. Later, I showed my artwork to a squirrel. He ran away. Rude. End of day 9. Today, I didn't just survive, I created. Sure, my drawings look like a toddler had a fight with a crayon. But they're mine. They say, I was here. I was cold. I had feelings. Tomorrow, might invent music, or storytelling, or crying on purpose. For now, I sit beneath my crooked mammoth, smudged in ash, proud as hell. Ancestor out. Still dirty, still dramatic, still a creative icon. Ancestor Diaries, Day 10. I discovered names. On accident. This morning, I choked on a bug and accidentally invented language. I was just minding my business, chewing on a stick for texture, when something tiny and winged flew straight down my throat. My body panicked. My mouth went GHABOKH. Everyone in the cave froze. One guy pointed at me and said, Gabuka. I coughed up the bug and blinked like, wait, is that my name now? So yeah, that's how I became Gabuka, the bug choker. Names are wild. Turns out if you grunt at someone consistently enough, they start responding to it. We've now got BLRRGH, the guy who always sneezes into the fire. Unga, the girl who throws rocks and calls it fishing. And Chuch, no idea what he does, but the name stuck and he looks like a Chuch. Suddenly, our tribe has identities. We're no longer just naked freezing meat bags. We're naked freezing meat bags with pronounceable souls. More accidental discoveries today. If you say someone's name angrily, they run faster. Tested this on Chuch. Success. If you say your own name dramatically while holding a stick, people think you're in charge. I am now Gabuka the Wise. No one can prove otherwise. Also tried to name things. Pointed at the big hairy beast outside the cave and yelled, Florp. Everyone nodded. It is now called Florp. Same for fire equals WAH, because that's the sound it makes when it burns you. River equals schlush. The weird smell in the back of the cave equals disappointment. Naming stuff gives me power. I feel like a toddler discovering nouns for the first time, but with more chest hair and existential dread. Night falls. I sit next to the fire, aka WAH, with my crew. BLRRGH, Unga, and Chuch. We point at stars and try naming them too. But then Chuch licked one of the glowing mushrooms again and started naming clouds like they owed him money. End of day 10. What started with a bug in my throat became the birth of identity. Tomorrow, maybe we'll invent gossip, or sarcasm, or grammar. Okay, maybe not grammar. That's for like 100,000 years from now. But for now, I am Gabuka, first of my name, bug choker, star pointer, speaker of nonsense. And I finally know who I am. Kind of. Still no soap. Still iconic. Diary of an Ancestor, day 11. I invented pants. Instagram can wait. Today started like most days. Woke up cold, naked, slightly feral. But something was different. Something inside me whispered, "You can't raw dog the ice age forever. I need pants." 11 days of sitting bare booty on frozen rocks has finally cracked me, mentally and literally. So I got creative, tore some moss off a boulder, dug through some dead leaves, chased a raccoon for its vibe. Boom! I present to you Proto-Pants, powered by delusion and desperation. Do they work? Not really. Do they itch like betrayal? Yes. But do I feel like a primitive Calvin Klein model? Absolutely. Meanwhile, in prehistoric TikTok, aka shouting at birds, tried to do a fit check, spun around, tripped on own moss leg, face planted into snow. Bird laughed, unsubscribed, crafted a rock necklace, felt cute, might invent capitalism later. Existential crisis of the day. Why does everyone just accept being naked out here? Like? You'll really okay just freeballing through mammoth season? I miss modesty. I miss underwear I've never had. Also realized we have zero social cues. No hi. No W-Eddie. No, that loincloth looks fire, bro. You just grunt, sniff, and hope for the best. Dating here is basically Tinder on airplane mode. Snack update. Ate what I thought was fruit. Was not fruit. Was rock with mold. Currently praying to whatever prehistoric god invented Tums. As night falls, I sit in my damp moss trousers, reflecting on life. 11 days ago, I was just a confused hairball screaming at snow. Now I'm a fashion icon, a wannabe influencer, and a man with standards. Tomorrow, I might reinvent skincare, because listen, my pores? Blocked. My vibe? Cave core, but make it glow. See you in day 12. Still cold. Still cursed. But now with pants, baby. Ancestor Diaries, day 12. I thought he was a ride. He thought I was trash to bulldoze. Woke up today feeling bold. I had a dream, a vision. I, the great hairy hero, would ride a mammoth. It looked majestic, huge, fluffy, mysterious, kind of like my ex, but with more emotional availability. I approached slowly, leaf in hand, trying my best. I come in peace smile. The mammoth looked at me. I looked back. Romantic? No. Terrifying? Yes. It suddenly charged, straight at me, with the force of 1,000 nope. I swear I saw death coming with tusks and attitude. I ran. I have never run that fast since the time I farted in the cave and blamed it on a bear. While running, I yelled, "I'm a friend. I'm a friend." But apparently, mammoths don't speak panic. Dove behind a bush, barely bigger than my dignity, and survived. Lost a bit of fur. Lost my only leaf. Definitely lost all dreams of riding into glory. Got back to the cave and everyone was like, "So, did you tame it?" And I said, "Yeah, tamed my expectations. Today's lesson: if something giant, hairy, and angry runs toward you, don't ask questions. Just run. I'm not the chosen one. I'm not a warrior. I'm a prehistoric NPC with anxiety and a leaf. Tomorrow I might invent something useful, like shoes, or therapy, or a sign that says, "Do not approach fluffy death." End of day 12. Still alive. Still dumb. Still no mammoth. But hey, at least I didn't become a pre-dinner snack. Diary of an Ancestor, Day 13. The day I discovered my own smell, 70.000-year-old. Today, I made a terrifying discovery. I stink. Like really stink. Not in the oops, forgot to roll in lavender way. More like something just died in my armpit and came back as a ghost to haunt my nose. At first, I thought it was OG. I kept scooting away from him like, "Bro, you good?" But then OG walked off to chase a butterfly or something, and the stench followed me. That's when it hit me. I was the problem. It's me. Hi. I ran around sniffing everyone else just to be sure. Sniffed grog. Sniffed blog. Even sniffed that one elder who hasn't moved since the mammoth stepped on his foot. None of them smelled like doom, so I tried to hide my shame. I rolled in leaves, rubbed moss under my arms, tried scrubbing myself with a rock. Bad idea. Now I have no skin on one elbow. Nothing worked. But then I tripped right into the river, and boom, magic. The stink, gone, replaced with, well, wet stink, but a better wet stink. Less dead raccoon, more damp rock. So now I've invented something. It's called not smelling like a corpse, or clean, for short. I told the others, if you jump in the river, your stink goes away. They stared at me like I'd grown an extra foot. Honestly, wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's happened lately. Only 2 people tried it. One slipped on a fish. The other panicked and started screaming that the water god was eating his soul. So we now do this thing called bathing, but only by accident or under extreme peer pressure. Now I get it. Thousands of years later, y'all invented soap, showers, and Febreze. Good for you. But remember who did it first. It wasn't some influencer with a #morning routine. It was me. Slipped on a mossy rock and accidentally invented hygiene. Honestly, you'll still stink sometimes. I've been to the future in my dreams. Probably just a mushroom trip, but who knows? Some of you wear tiny fake shoes and expensive feathers but still refuse to wash your legs. What's up with that? Anyway, lesson of the day. If the mammoth runs from you, check if it's because of your smell. Also, river equals good. Armpit rot equals bad. You're welcome. Love, your slightly cleaner ancestor. Ancestor Diaries, Day 30. Time flies like a dog running in the field, and you have spent 30 boring, dull days with your ancestors, still going to the bathroom without toilet paper, and seeing pretty girls without knowing what to do other than howl. Migration. Because my cave got snowed in and I'm too lazy to shovel. Okay, so apparently, the weather can just steal your house now? Woke up this morning to find my beloved cave full of snow. Not aesthetic winter vibes snow. More like Mother Nature sneezed aggressively in my living room snow. Walls gone. Floor gone. Dignity? Frozen somewhere under a mammoth turd. Tried to dig it out for 5 minutes. My hands turned into icicles. Decided, nope, not today, not ever. So now we're migrating. Me, my kind, and every furry animal that still has functioning legs. No map, no plan, just raw hope and frostbite. Some called it survival. Call it traveling without luggage, money, or a clue. Basically, it's Airbnb Caveman Edition. You wander until you find a rock with a roof. Along the way, we lost Doug. He chased a butterfly and fell into a frozen river. We mourned him for about 7 seconds, then kept moving. Efficiency. What I learned today: nature doesn't care if you just redecorated your cave. It will ice blast your dreams without warning. Also, the phrase "home is where the heart is" really hits different when your heart has frostbite. New survival quote: if you don't know where you're going, walk confidently anyway, or at least pretend you're leading the pack. End of day 30. Still homeless, still cold, still walking in a random direction like it's a life choice. Honestly, call it migration, call it existential cardio. Either way, we move. Day 31. Me and my first rock. A love triangle with pain and poor aim. Today I invented violence. Or, I tried to. I saw this little squirrel. Fast, fluffy, annoying. It looked at me like, "Bet you won't catch me." I said, "Watch me." I picked up a rock. Heavy, round, promising. I felt powerful, like a god with a pebble. I took the shot. The rock did not hit the squirrel. It hit the tree behind it, then bounced, then hit me, specifically my toe. I fell. The squirrel laughed. I swear it laughed. Little fuzzy demon. So yeah, day 31. I learned that throwing rocks is harder than it looks. Also learned that pain is real, toes are fragile, and gravity's a bully. But something weird happened. While I was holding my foot and screaming internally, I started thinking, like, wait, rocks hurt? Rocks fly? Rocks do things? Maybe rocks aren't just for sitting on or tripping over. Maybe they're tools? Weapons? Besties? I limped back to the group and showed them my rock. I said, "This almost killed a squirrel." They clapped. One guy tried it too. He missed the squirrel and hit his girlfriend. She bit him. Beautiful chaos. 10 out of 10 entertainment. We spent the rest of the afternoon throwing stuff at things. Mostly trees. Sometimes each other. 0 squirrels were harmed. 1 ego was destroyed. Mine. But it got me thinking, maybe this is the start of something big. Maybe one day we'll sharpen rocks. Maybe stab stuff. Maybe cut meat instead of chewing it for 3 hours like cavemen. Oh wait, we are. Right now, though, I just want an ice pack. Except, we haven't invented ice packs. So I'm holding a cold frog. Keeps trying to escape. Anyway, today I learned squirrels are faster than physics. Rocks have ambition. I have no aim. My big toe has entered a new spiritual plane. Also, I think I invented shame, which is fun. Tomorrow I might try throwing a stick. What could possibly go wrong? Day 35, around 65,000 years ago. The Great Mushroom Massacre. This morning I woke up starving, like gnawing on my own arm starving. The mammoth migration took all the snacks with it. OG's stash of dried berries got stolen by raccoons again, and Blog tried to eat a rock because it looked filling. We were desperate. Then Grog walked in holding the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Small, squishy, and growing out of a log. White on top. Kind of fancy? He called it Fun Guy. We all laughed. He said, "No, really. I feel like a fun guy when I eat it." We should have known that was a red flag. But we were hungry, so 10 of us ate the mushrooms. Some raw, some grilled over the fire, some dipped in mammoth fat. Honestly, not bad. A little earthy. Tasted like old feet. But what doesn't? Then things got weird. First, OG started singing to a rock, like full-on ballad. Told the rock he loved it and proposed marriage. Then Blog started breakdancing. We don't know what breakdancing is yet, but whatever she did made her knees go backwards. She's still limping. Grog climbed a tree and yelled, "I am bird god," then jumped. Didn't fly, broke his nose. 3 of us straight up passed out with our eyes open. One guy just vanished. Turns out he was hiding behind a bush but wouldn't tell us why. By the next morning, 2 people had gone to the Sky Cave, aka dead. We all stood around like, huh, so maybe that wasn't food. Boom. Natural selection. Now we know which mushrooms not to eat. Turns out trial and error is our main research method. No Google, no food labels, just vibes and guts. Mostly guts, usually spilling out. But from this tragedy, a revolution was born. The concept of maybe don't eat everything you find. Now when we see something new, we don't just eat it. We smell it, poke it, watch it. Sometimes we make the youngest guy try it first. Sorry, Lil Ugg. Some even started using that new thing called memory. Oh yeah, don't eat the purple mushroom with the skull pattern. That one makes you see spiders wearing pants. This was also the first time someone said, "I told you so." It was Blog, of course. She only licked the mushroom and said, "Not for me." Then she watched the rest of us go full chaos gremlin mode. So yeah, next time you open your fridge and check expiration dates, remember, your ancestors had to figure that stuff out the hard way. We walked so your kombucha could run. Moral of the story, if it's glowing, screaming, or smells like hot feet, maybe don't eat it. Or do. Just don't tell anyone you're related to me. Peace, the ancestor who lived. Because I spit mine out after one bite. Day 40. I learned to walk like someone who has knees. This morning I woke up feeling ancient. My legs said, nope. My knees said, who gave you permission? Apparently walking non-stop for 40 days straight isn't covered under the warranty. I used to think, hey, we evolved to walk upright, right? That's our thing. That's what separates us from the squirrels. Turns out what separates us is also slowly destroying us. We walk to find food, to avoid being food, to follow the herd, to move camp, to escape Kevin's farts. Kevin, if you're reading this from the future, your diet was a war crime. But nobody tells you that walking for 40 days without a break turns your knees into hot jelly. Every step now sounds like a twig snapping underwater. I don't remember being issued kneecaps. I think someone downloaded mine from a shady site. So I sat down. Yes, sat. Revolutionary stuff. And I told the others, hey, what if? Hear me out. We don't walk today? They stared like I'd committed treason against the tribe. One guy whispered, is he dying? But the truth is, sitting is underrated. Rest is the real cheat code. You can't hunt mammoths if your legs feel like overcooked celery. Then I thought of you, yes, you future people. You've got chairs, scooters, escalators, hoverboards, God knows what. You sit 8 hours a day, then pay to walk on treadmills in sad little rooms called gyms. You have knee braces, ergonomic shoes, foot spas, and somehow you still complain more than us. We were chased by saber-toothed cats. You twisted your ankle on a Lego. Anyway, today's lesson, legs are a blessing until they betray you. Knees are suspiciously fragile for something we use constantly. Rest is not lazy, it's prehistoric self-care. If your body says stop, maybe stop, or don't. I'm not your chief. Also, I had a dream last night where I was flying. No walking, no sore knees, just soaring like a majestic rock with wings. I woke up and tried jumping off a tree. Now my ankle's mad too. Tomorrow I might invent not moving. Maybe just sit and think. Who knows? Could start a new trend. The day we yelled AH and became a team. Okay, so you ever look at a 10-ton hairy elephant and go, yeah, I could totally take that down with a stick and attitude? Me neither. But that was yesterday's vibe. See, we used to hunt solo. Real lone wolf energy. Everyone sneaking around, throwing pebbles at rabbits, hoping one of them just dies from embarrassment. Then one day, Gorg said, "What if? Hear me out." We yell at it. We all stared at him. Like real loud, he added. Together, scare it, confuse it, and then we stab it. Sounded dumb, which means it was 100% our kind of plan. So we lined up, 7 of us. No armor, just loincloths and wildly misplaced confidence. In front of us, a giant woolly mammoth chewing grass like it paid rent there. We took a deep breath, and then, "Hey!" We screamed like toddlers seeing broccoli. The mammoth paused, blinked. I think it actually rolled its eyes. But for a second, it was confused. And in that sacred moment of chaos, we swarmed it. Gorg got yeeted 20 feet into a bush. Brog tried to poke it but hit its toenail. I stabbed its butt and immediately apologized. Mog tripped on his own foot and stabbed me. But we kept going. We grunted. We howled. We flailed our arms like inflatable car tube men. And somehow, by sheer volume and bad aim, we brought it down. It was messy. It was loud. It was teamwork. And suddenly it clicked. Maybe we're not that strong alone. But together, we're an overcaffeinated nightmare. From that day, we invented the hunting squad. Like an early version of your weekend football team, except the ball is 3,000 pounds and can stomp you to death. Now we coordinate. Gorg distracts. Mog flanks. I scream like a banshee and throw a rock. We've even got hand signals. Well, more like angry jazz hands. And guess what? Food lasts longer. Fewer people die. And now we bond while skinning a yak. That's friendship, baby. So next time you're in an office meeting, planning a group project, or yelling at the GPS with your road trip buddies, just know, your really great grandma once screamed at an elephant with 6 idiots, and that's why you get to eat snacks and share memes today. Lesson learned. Life's too big to face alone. Grab your squad, yell loudly, and run directly at your problems. Worst case, you get trampled together. Best case, mammoth steaks and high fives. Love and bruises. The ancestor who got kicked by a mammoth twice. Day 45. I remember something? Or do I just think I remember? This morning I walked past a big rock and thought, wait, I've seen this rock before. Which is weird because every rock kind of looks like every other rock. But this one felt familiar, like an old frenemy. Then I saw a tree, and I thought, that's the tree where Kevin tried to wrestle a raccoon and lost. Which means my brain just remembered something. Like, not just what I had for breakfast, it was roots again, obviously, but a whole event from the past. Do you understand how wild that is? I didn't write anything down. I didn't draw it in mud. It just lived inside my head, like a secret squirrel. Is this what having memory is? Suddenly, I'm walking through the forest like, I know this trail. I've walked this before. There's the log I tripped over. There's the bush Kevin peed on. There's the angry beehive we swore never to mention again. My brain is starting to cache things. Not all things. I forgot where I buried half a rabbit yesterday, but I remember where not to poop. Thanks. Fire ant incident of day 28. I told the others, guys, I think I'm remembering stuff. They blinked. One dude asked if I'd eaten the wrong mushrooms again. Maybe. Doesn't matter. The point is, memory is real. And then I thought of you, descendants, modern people with your cloud storage, calendar alerts, and sorry I forgot your birthday texts. You'll literally carry a supercomputer in your pocket, but forget why you walked into the kitchen. You forget your keys, but remember every lyric to a 2007 boy band song. You forget your passwords, but remember what Sharon said at the office in 2014 that still pisses you off. You forget to call your mom, but remember every trauma from middle school. And here I am, naked in the woods, having my first memory like it's a spiritual awakening. To celebrate, I started carving I was here on a rock. But halfway through I forgot why I started. Classic. Today I learned. Memory is just your brain hoarding info like a squirrel hoards nuts. Not everything's worth remembering. Looking at you, Kevin's raccoon fight. Sometimes forgetting is a blessing, especially bad roots. I should probably stop eating those spotted mushrooms. Tomorrow I'll try to remember this feeling, or at least remember where I buried the other half of that rabbit. If not, well, memory is a work in progress. Ancestor diaries, 50,000 years ago. The day we invented please don't kill me rituals. So there we were, just minding our own prehistoric business. Chewing on roots, arguing about who farted in the cave, when suddenly, boom, sky explodes. Big flashy zigzag hits a tree. Tree catches fire. Gorg screams and throws his dinner at it like that's gonna help. That was the day we discovered lightning. Now, keep in mind, we didn't have science yet. No one was explaining electrons or atmospheric pressure. To us, it looked like this sky-angry firefall Gorg cry. Naturally, we did the only logical thing. Blame it on ourselves. Maybe I peed in the wrong bush. Maybe Mog said something rude to the river spirit again. Maybe the sky hates us because we didn't share our mammoth meat. So we held a meeting. Very serious. Rock circle. Grunts only. Grog suggested we apologize to the sky. How? We asked. He shrugged. Give it stuff. And boom. That's how rituals were born. We started offering everything. Mushrooms, shiny rocks, our last piece of yak jerky. At one point, someone tried throwing their mother-in-law on the fire, but we all agreed that was a bit much. And get this, sometimes after we sacrificed things, the lightning stopped. Coincidence? 100%. But to us, proof it worked. We felt powerful, like we had a hotline to the sky gods. We made rules. Don't pee facing the wind. Always whisper thank you before eating. Never mock the moon unless you want warts. Sounds silly? Fast forward 50,000 years. Now y'all light scented candles during Mercury retrograde. Say, the universe is testing me when your coffee spills, and carry crystals to protect your vibes. You think you're different? We had sky tantrums. You have astrology apps. Same spirit, just fancier fonts. And instead of sacrificing goats, you sacrifice $8 on oat milk lattes so the barista doesn't curse your energy. Let's be real. Humans just want to feel safe in a world that's loud, weird, and totally out of control. So whether it's praying to the rain gods or posting healing vibes only on Instagram, deep down, We're all just scared monkeys trying not to get zapped. Lesson of the day. When in doubt, light a fire, hum a weird tune, and offer something you love to the mysterious forces above. Even if it's just your last slice of pizza. Especially if it's your last slice of pizza. Peace, thunder, and mushroom power. The ancestor who accidentally started a cult. Day, month, year. So I met this wolf, and I think we're dating now. Today started normal. Woke up, got chased by bees. Stole a dead bird from a hawk. Don't ask. Then I wandered into the woods to look for snacks, or God, whichever came first. That's when I saw it. It was furry, pointy ears, sharp teeth, standing across the clearing like some cursed forest puppy. A wolf. My legs wanted to run. My brain wanted to scream. Instead, I just stood there like an idiot holding a mushroom I wasn't even sure was food. And then, plot twist, it didn't attack me. Nope, it growled. But not at me. At something behind me. I turned around. 2 raccoon things were sneaking up on me, probably planning to rob me of my finest stick. The wolf lunged and chased them off like some growling, 4-legged bouncer. I was like, hold on, are we allies now? Did I just unlock bodyguard mode? The wolf came back, sat down, looked at me like I was the weirdo. I gave it a piece of my half-eaten bird. It didn't bite me, it just stared. Now don't get me wrong, I've stared at a lot of creatures. A squirrel once, my own reflection once. Terrifying. But this was different. This look said, I don't hate you. Not yet. So we just sat. 2 traumatized meatbags vibing in the forest. I threw a stick. It didn't fetch it. Just tilted its head like, you good, bro? We walked. Followed me. I sat. I farted. It barked. Honestly, felt like a third date. And I started thinking, what if this is how pets begin? Not because we tamed them, but because they saw how helpless we were and thought, if I don't help this dumb monkey, he's gonna die in a puddle. Flash forward 2 million years. You modern humans dress dogs in tiny jackets, throw them birthday parties, and give them spa days. Meanwhile, your ancestors were out here giving wolves raw squirrel guts and mutual trauma. I didn't have a leash. I had trust issues and a really good stick. Lesson of the day. Loyalty doesn't need words. Sometimes, it's just a growl that says, back off. That hairless blob is mine. So yeah, I think I made a friend today. Or an emotional support murder beast. Either way, that's more stable than half your Tinder matches. Dear future human, if your dog has an Instagram but can't hunt raccoons, maybe I was the smart one all along. End of entry. I'm gonna go howl with my new buddy now, because apparently that's what bonding looks like. Day, month, year. Around 45,000 years ago, the day we invented, maybe don't eat that. Dear descendants, let me take you back to a magical era when everything was food. Berries? Weird fungus growing on dead tree? Heck yes. Crawling thing with 17 legs and glowing eyes? Yummy crunchy snack. Basically, if it wasn't actively biting us, we bit it first. One fine day, Cousin Zarg finds a beautiful mushroom. Bright purple. Smells like sadness and old feet. He goes, looks fun. I'm hungry. 10 minutes later, Zarg is singing to a rock and trying to marry a fern. 20 minutes later, Zarg isn't singing anymore. We all stand around like, noted. Someone mumbles, maybe don't eat that one again. And boom, food safety is born. From then on, we had a new rule. Let one guy try it first. If he dances and sees the gods, it's a maybe. If he dies, it's a no-no. We called it experimental lunch hour. You now call it clinical trials. Same vibe, less screaming. Eventually, we got smart. We started noticing patterns. Red berries equals tummy trouble. Slimy fish equals vomit volcano. That green leaf that smells like but equals surprisingly good in soup. Honestly, we didn't just discover food. We discovered regret. Fast forward 45,000 years. You guys still do it, just fancier. Ever eaten gas station sushi at 1 a.m.? That's Zarg energy right there. Or tried that new TikTok snack trend like frozen mustard banana and immediately questioned your life. Congratulations. You are continuing a proud tradition of bad culinary decisions. And you know those gluten-free, sugar-free, flavor-free protein bars? I once ate a chunk of mammoth poop that had more taste than that. But hey, we learned. Trial by digestion. You learned too. Now you have expiration dates, nutrition labels, and websites where Karen leaves 2-star reviews because her kale chips were too earthy. Must be nice. Still, deep down, you're just like us, sniffing weird stuff, eating it anyway, saying oops from the toilet later. So next time you get food poisoning from that buffet sushi, don't be mad. Be proud. You're honoring your ancestors. With cramps, the one who tasted everything so you don't have to. Around 45,000 years ago, scream first, think later. Dear future people with gyms and spreadsheets, there was a time when the phrase, "let's do this together," didn't mean a team project or a Zoom call. It meant, let's yell really loud and chase this angry 500-pound steak through the forest. That's right. Welcome to the birth of group hunting. It all started with a big, smug deer. Dude was huge, kinda looked like a sofa with legs. We named him Gary. Don't ask why. Anyway, Gary kept outrunning everyone. No matter how fast one of us ran, Gary would just boing, boing, boing out of there like he had Wi-Fi and we were still using dial-up legs. Until one day, someone had an idea, probably by accident. Cousin Mook tripped over a rock, let out a loud "Aah." Gary paused. Then 3 more of us screamed. Gary got confused. Then all 7 of us just started yelling and waving sticks like crazy. Result? Gary panicked, ran into a bush, got stuck. Victory. And thus teamwork was born. We didn't call it strategy. We called it just scream and hope. But it worked. Suddenly, we weren't just solo hunters anymore. We became a unit. A loud, clumsy, chaotic unit. Kind of like your group project in school where one person does all the work, one brings snacks, and the rest just say we're almost done for 3 weeks. But back then, everyone had to contribute. Or else you were dinner instead of the deer. No Slack, no Google Docs, just raw vibes and louder lungs. Nowadays, you guys have team-building retreats. Back then, our retreat was run or get stabbed by a boar. And don't get me started on modern teamwork apps. We had 2 settings, yell or point, no notifications, no emails, only the occasional headbutt. So next time you're in a boring meeting and someone says, "There's no I in team," just remember, your ancestors were screaming together in the mud, chasing dinner, risking their lives, so you could sit in a chair and roll your eyes. You're welcome. Now go yell at something together. It's in your DNA. Love, the one who screamed first. Day, month, year. Ancestral diary of the 40,000th year still has me as your ancestor. I drew a bison, not because I'm deep, because I like her. Dear diary, today, I made art. Okay, not art like the fancy lines and gold leaves you people frame in overpriced cafes. I mean, I rubbed burned stick on cave wall and went, oh, I don't know what came over me. I saw her across the fire pit, 3 teeth, symmetrical eyes, perfect unibrow. My heart did a little ugh. I wanted to say something, but the only sounds I've mastered so far are gore, huh, and the scream I use when bees happen. So instead of talking, I drew a big bison. A strong one, majestic, a little like me but with more neck muscles. Then I added little dots and lines and look, it kind of looked cool. She walked by, glanced at it, paused, and snorted. Then she sat next to me. Bingo. I think I invented flirting. With charcoal. Move over Tinder, it's cave wall now. Swipe right if it looks like mammoth. Turns out I'm not the only one. Others in the tribe are now scratching deer, hands, suns, random swirls. Nobody really knows why. Some say it's to honor spirits. Some say it helps with hunting. Personally, I think it's because we finally had time to be weird. No lions for 5 minutes? Boom. Let's draw hands with 6 fingers. Why not? And here's the wild part. After I made the bison, I felt something. Not hunger, not fear. Just, oh, like a soft little wow, I made that. Is this what your people call emotion? Or pride? Or attachment to aesthetic output in the absence of survival utility? Bro, I think I invented overthinking. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe one day people will look at my cave doodle and say, this is cultural expression. Or maybe they'll sell it on the internet for 3 million shiny rocks and call it NFT. No fire today. Whatever. All I know is, I had a crush. I couldn't speak, so I drew a fat bison and hoped for the best. And now she's sharing her roasted roots with me. Victory. Lesson of the day. When words fail, draw your feelings. But maybe don't draw what happened after she shared the roots. That's a different kind of art. With dusty fingers, your ancestor, CEO of simping since 40,000 BC. Day, month, year around 37,000 years ago. The first religion. Thunder is angry. Feed it mushrooms. Dear descendants with astrology apps and crystals on Etsy, let me explain how religion began. It was a Tuesday, we didn't call it that yet. And the sky just lost it. Loud boom. Bright flash. Trees shaking. Fire in the clouds. We all screamed and fell over like bowling pins. Cousin Zug shouted, "Who did that?" Cousin Grog cried and tried to hide under a leaf. And I, brave, fearless me, I peed just a little. Then someone whispered, "Maybe someone up there is mad?" We all looked up. The sky didn't respond. Classic passive-aggressive behavior. So we did what made the most sense. We offered the sky our weirdest mushrooms. Zug placed them on a rock and dramatically waved his arms like he was summoning Uber Eats. And then, plot twist, the storm stopped. Cue gasps. Cue applause. Cue belief system. Boom. Religion was born. Just like that. From fear and fungi. From then on, if anything went wrong, broken leg, bad hunt, your crush choosing Cousin Unga over you, we blamed the big invisible guy upstairs. And we tried to please him. Sometimes with dancing. Sometimes with rocks. Sometimes with more mushrooms, which may or may not have caused some visions. You laugh, modern child, but not much has changed. You still think the Wi-Fi gods are angry when Netflix buffers. You burn sage when your ex texts back. You believe Mercury in retrograde is why your coffee spilled. We just didn't have Pinterest boards for it. We had trees, fire, and an overactive imagination. But religion brought something wild: hope and community and excuses. I didn't trip, I was cursed. And somehow it worked. We felt less alone. Because now, every fart of thunder wasn't just noise. It was a message. Maybe nonsense. Maybe divine. Definitely dramatic. So next time you light a scented candle and whisper to the universe, remember us. Dancing half naked in the mud, chanting to the clouds, praying the sky doesn't set our huts on fire. We were clueless. We were high, but we believed. With love, the first spiritual influencer. Day, month, year, 35,000 years ago, I put on a seashell. Suddenly, I'm a fashion icon. Dear diary, today I put a rock on a string and wore it around my neck. A shiny rock, not edible, not useful, but it caught the sun and made me feel kinda spicy. Everyone lost it. Oh wow, look at Mr. Fancy Neck. Someone's trying to impress the cave girls. Yes, I am. I think I just invented jewelry, or maybe social pressure, or both. Later, I found a seashell. A seashell in the mountains. Nobody knows how it got here. I tied it to my forehead. Now everyone thinks I'm a spiritual leader or a dangerous weirdo. Either way, they're letting me cut the mammoth line. And I get it now. Looking cool makes people treat you differently. Suddenly, I'm not just that guy who fell in mammoth poop last week. A mystic, glowy forehead man. People ask my opinion on where the sun goes at night. Spoiler, I still have no idea. Also, we started stitching animal skins together. I mean actual clothes, with threads. Before this, we just tied furs around our important parts and hoped for the best. But now, my friend Grug has a cape. A cape. He looks like a prehistoric wizard on laundry day. Clothes aren't just warmth anymore, they're statements. I survived the Ice Age and I look fabulous. Even kids are getting into it. One of them painted dots on her cheeks with berry juice and declared herself Queen of Snow Dirt. I swear we used to fight saber-tooths. Now we fight over who gets the prettiest bone beads. Is this civilization? Anyway, here's what I've learned. 1. If it sparkles, wear it. Doesn't matter if it's a beetle shell or mammoth snot. 2. When in doubt, accessorize. 3. Looking good makes people think you know stuff. Still don't. But now they assume I do. So yeah, you, reading this in the future with your eyebrows on fleek and limited edition shoes? We walked so you could strut. We stitched mammoth butt flaps so you could wear skinny jeans. You're welcome. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to glue feathers to my arms and see if anyone mistakes me for a sky god. With love and lint, your ancestor, original fashion influencer, 35,000 BC. Day, month, year on the nth day of your ancestors, I don't remember how long ago. But surely it was during the modern age 33,000 years ago. Dear diary, so today, I tied a sparkly rock to a vine and wore it around my neck. It didn't scare predators. It didn't keep me warm. But guess what? It slayed. I looked like the hottest thing since fire. And yes, we just invented that too. Iconic timing. The tribe went feral. Grug gasped. One guy tried to trade me his only goat tooth for it. A child bowed. Diary. That's when I knew. Aesthetic, survival. And yes, I found a seashell. In the mountains. No ocean in sight. No explanation. Just vibes. I tied it to my forehead and walked into camp like I was manifesting Wi-Fi. Suddenly, I wasn't just UG who smells like fermented yak. I was UG, sea goddess of ice chic. People started copying me. One girl wore 3 feathers and said she was a crow now. Grug wrapped a wolf intestine around his wrist and called it energy protection. And just like that, bracelets were born. So to all of you in 2025, spending $89 on crystals to cleanse your aura. Sweetie, I licked a glowing rock once and called it a spiritual awakening. You're welcome. Let's talk outfits. We upgraded from leaf diaper to fitted mammoth. My buddy made a cape out of squirrel pelts and called it limited edition. Someone painted their eyebrows on with ash. I told them they looked surprised forever. They said, "Good, that's my brand." Modern humans don't act like you're different. You wear ripped jeans that cost more than a cow. You glue fake nails longer than a saber-tooth thong. You wear sunglasses indoors to avoid emotional connection. We walked so you could runway strut through Coachella, okay? Back then, we dressed up just to hunt berries. Now you'll do full glam to buy oat milk. Same energy. Oh, and selfies? Hun, we invented that too, but with cave walls. If you think drawing yourself stabbing a mammoth isn't a thirst trap, you've clearly never felt the power of charcoal abs. And the tribal gossip? Please, you'll have Twitter drama. We had actual drama. Like Grug stole my firewood and my mate level scandals. Real housewives of the Ice Age. What I've learned today: 1. Style is survival. If you can't outrun the tiger, you might as well look fabulous dying. 2. People will worship anything shiny, even if it's just a wet pebble. 3. Confidence is more powerful than a spear and causes fewer infections. So next time you stress about your outfit not serving, remember your ancestor wore a bone necklace, smelled like wet cave, and still had main character energy. Anyway, I'm off to pierce my nose with a fish spine. Not for function, just 4 sparkles drip sparkles. Love, you're a fashion-forward fossil, aka the first influencer without Wi-Fi. Day month year 32,000 BC. I hit a rock and invented the club scene. Dear diary, big news, I made a noise. Not with my mouth, with a stick, on a log, and it went hard, like it slapped harder than a mammoth tail to the face. First, I was just bored. Fire was crackling. Mammoth stew was mid. Grug was talking again about his rock collection. Kill me. So I picked up a stick and just started hitting stuff. Log, rock, skull, whatever. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, people were vibing. Little UG started stomping. Grug clapped offbeat like he invented jazz. Someone picked up 2 bones and started clicking them together. Out of nowhere, Cave Rave 32K. And thus, music. You're welcome, Beyonce. Modern people don't even pretend you're better. You still gather around loud sounds, jump like confused elk, and call it therapy. I did it first, with no Spotify, no shoes, and no clue what rhythm was. You think your EDM festival was wild? We danced until a saber-tooth showed up. That's a vibe check. You have glow sticks. We had literal fire sticks. One girl set her hair on fire and kept dancing. Huh. And the drums? We didn't need drums. We had rocks, logs, and emotional trauma. One guy got so into it, he hit his foot with a bone and screamed on beat. It was tribal. Someone said, "We should do this every full moon." Boom. First ever concert series. Moonchella. And don't get me started on lyrics. We didn't have words yet, so we just grunted rhythmically. Ha. Modern rap, basically. You think that's not bars? You tried dropping heat with 3 vowels and a sinus infection. I realized then, We don't need language to feel connected, or clothes, or coordination, or safety regulations. We just need noise and vibes. So next time you're at a wedding, dancing like a confused jellyfish, just know, you are channeling me, your ancestor, the first DJ, UG 3000 BC. Anyway, I'm working on a new instrument. It's a turtle shell filled with pebbles. It sounds terrible. I love it. We call it experimental. Lesson of the day. Humans are rhythm creatures. Doesn't matter if it's Beyoncé or Bone Clacks. When the beat hits, the brain shuts off, the butt activates. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to make the first ever mixtape by scratching a stick on bark and screaming over it. Love, UG aka DJ Rockslide. Inventor of bangers, breaker of silence, twerker of timelines. Day month, year 31,000 BC. Cave painting or my first dating app. Dear diary, okay, hear me out. I painted something on a wall with berry juice and crushed charcoal. It was a deer, maybe a cow, or a really jacked goat. Anyway, it looked amazing until my cousin came along and said it looked like a sad potato. Rude, but also fair. So I tried again. I drew some handprints. Boom. Instant aesthetic. Everyone loved it. Some dude even pointed and went AH in a romantic way, which in our language probably meant, I want to share my mammoth jerky with you. I think I just invented flirting. You modern people think you're smooth with your dating apps and filtered selfies? Bro, I had one color, no lighting, and my canvas was a damp wall inside a bat-infested hole. And yet I made art with vibes. You got Photoshop? I had squirrel blood and anxiety. And listen, don't act like you're better than us. You still draw on walls. You just call it street art and post it on Instagram. You still send hey as your opener. I did that too, but my version was drawing a buff bison and hoping someone would be impressed. Also, here's the tea. Everyone thinks we painted for religion or storytelling. Let me be real. Most of us just wanted attention. I wanted that girl from Tribe Next Cave to see my handprint and go, wow, look at that finger spread. He's definitely a provider. Plus, it worked. She came over, looked at my bison and said, big. Reader, we cuddled. Evolution 1. Loneliness 0. So yeah, art changed everything. Suddenly, we weren't just eating and running from giant sloths, we were feeling things. We were remembering what we hunted, who we liked, where we pooped during rain season, important info. From this, boom, memory, culture, eventually storytelling, and from there, Netflix. So really, every time you binge a show about sad Vikings, thank me, the original sad Viking with a stick and a dream. Lesson of the day. When words fail, draw something. When drawing fails, pretend it's abstract. And if all else fails, just grunt, flex, and offer food. That's love, baby. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to paint the first ever family group photo. It's just me and a mammoth. But hey, I raised it like a son, with smudges and affection. UG Da Vinci, cave boy, artist, hopeless romantic with charcoal in his nostrils. Day month, year around 30,000 years ago, the first funeral, bye-bye, stinky grog. Dear future people with fancy suits and sad playlists, let me tell you how funerals began. It all started with our buddy, Grog. Now, Grog wasn't the smartest guy. He once tried to fight a tree because he thought it was a bear, but he had a big heart and an even bigger voice. Every morning, we never needed an alarm clock. Grog was the alarm clock. Then one day, he yelled Quad A and chased a mammoth. Spoiler, mammoth won. He didn't move after that. At first we thought he was napping. We poked him. We threw a rock. We yelled in his ear, "Grog?" Nothing. No burp. No snore. No fart. Just still. By day 2, he smelled like wet squirrel mixed with old fish. Flies came. We cried. Not sure if it was from sadness or the smell. Someone said, "Should we move him?" So we tried rolling him away. He rolled back. Took us 3 tries. Finally, we dug a hole. Not deep, we were lazy. We tossed in some flowers. Okay, weeds. Dropped Grog in. Literally dropped. Oops. Stood around. Scratched heads. Said things like, Grog was loud. He hit things. He smelled weird, but we loved him. Then we waved. Yep, just stood there waving, like he was going on a long vacation. That was it. The first funeral. It wasn't perfect. Someone farted. Someone tripped and fell in the hole. We pulled him out. Someone ate a mushroom and started seeing glowing lizards. But for the first time, we felt something deep, missing someone. Now you have funerals with black clothes, flowers, sad violin music, and 47 kinds of sandwiches. We just had mud, a hole, and very confused emotions. But the point was the same. Say goodbye. Feel something. Try not to throw up from the smell. So next time you're at a funeral, crying into your cupcake and pretending you know the lyrics to Ave Maria, remember, it all began with a smelly, dead caveman and a bunch of weirdos waving at a hole. Thanks for everything, Grog. You started a tradition. Also, we kept your stick. It makes a good back scratcher. Love, your extremely confused but emotionally growing ancestors. Day month, year 28,000 BC. I chewed rocks and called it dinner. Dear diary, today I broke another tooth. That's tooth number. I lost count. I only have 4 left that don't wiggle. Apparently, chewing half-frozen mammoth meat and raw tubers is not dentist recommended. Too bad we haven't invented dentists yet. Closest we've got is Grog, who just hits your face with a stick until it feels numb. I miss feeling feelings, especially in my jaw. And don't come at me, modern humans, with your air fryers and smoothies. You think you've struggled? Try eating burnt bark because you thought it was forest bacon. I once gnawed on a rock because it smelled like berries. Spoiler, it was not berries. It was bird poop. I still have questions. But here's the thing we're learning. Slowly, painfully, tooth by tooth. Today, my cousin lit meat on fire on purpose before eating it. And guess what? Tasted amazing. Like warm, like safe, like not full of parasites. We might be onto something. Fire plus food equals no stomach lava. New rule. Next step. Cooking things that aren't just meat. Because fun fact, if you eat only meat for 8 days straight, you start seeing trees talk to you. Or maybe that was the moldy mushroom stew we tried last week. Hard to say. 9 out of 10 experience would recommend. Also, side rant, why is everything we eat covered in hair? Why is everything hairy? I pulled a squirrel out of a stew yesterday, and it still had eyebrows. I'm genuinely traumatized. Modern people complain about food being too oily or not gluten-free. Honey, we don't even know what gluten is. We just eat things and hope it doesn't kill us before sunrise. Speaking of killing, big shout out to berries. You eat the wrong one and either you ascend to the gods or you poop yourself into another dimension. High stakes dining, baby. But I get it now. This whole cooking thing is a game changer. Food that doesn't fight back. Less time vomiting. More time sitting by the fire thinking about stuff. Like how nice it'd be if someone invented plates. Or at least wiped the mammoth grease off the communal log. Anyway, today we made soup. I don't even know what we put in it. Some roots, moss, mystery meat. It was warm. It was wet. It didn't try to escape. Michelin star. We called it Hot Slurp. Trademark pending. Lesson of the day. Fire is friend. Burnt is better. And if it smells like berries but crunches like rock, spit it out. With what's left of my molars. UG Gum Chewer Stone Chew. Official taste tester of Tribe Ow My Teeth. Day, month, year. I accidentally invented the first party. And it was weird. Okay, so I was hungry. Like really hungry. I hadn't caught a squirrel in days and chewing on bark was starting to feel depressing. That's when I found it. A weird fruit. Purple. Hairy. Smelled like a mix of wet mammoth and old feet. But it was food, and I'm not picky. So I ate one. Then two. Then 5. Bad idea. Very bad idea. At first, I felt amazing. Like my feet were floating. I laughed at rocks. I tried to talk to a tree. I told Grog his forehead looked like a sad potato. We were vibing. Then, everything got fuzzy. I remember chasing a butterfly that may or may not have been a leaf. I remember dancing in the mud and calling myself Chief Thunder Thighs. I may have licked a lizard. No one's sure. I woke up the next morning in a tree. No idea how I got there. My hair had leaves in it. My mouth tasted like lies. I was hugging a pine cone like it owed me money. But here's the best part. I wasn't alone. Half the tribe had joined me. Grog was trying to talk to fire. Uba was crying because she thought her foot was a baby mammoth. Someone painted there but red and declared themselves King of the Frogs. It was chaos. It was confusing. It was kind of awesome. Turns out, when a bunch of starving hominids eat the same sketchy fruit, something magical happens. We lose our minds together. We jumped. We clapped. We screamed at stars and belly flopped into puddles. And somehow everyone was smiling. No one planned it. There was no invitation, no playlist. But for one glorious night, we weren't just surviving, we were celebrating. We had fun. By accident. Modern humans. You think you invented festivals? Nah. We walked so you could Coachella. Except our outfits were just mud and confusion. And your hangovers? Cute. Try waking up in a tree with one sandal, a mysterious bruise, and the taste of beetle in your teeth. Try explaining to the elders why you peed on the sacred rock. Twice. Anyway, we now call that fruit the doomberry. We only eat it on special occasions, like when someone turns 25 or survives a bear bite. So yeah, that's how I accidentally and stupidly invented the world's first party. No regrets, except the rash. Sincerely, UG Still Seeing Colors Rock Bounce, inventor of accidental raves. Day, month, year, invention of the first couch, a rock that loved my butt. Listen, my back was broken, not literally but emotionally, after 10,000 days of squatting, crouching, kneeling, curling up next to goats, or just collapsing like a sack of meat. I said, enough. My butt deserved better. My spine begged for mercy. That's when I found it. A smooth, oddly shaped boulder. Wide enough for two, soft enough for... Well, it wasn't soft. It was still a rock. But compared to the tree stumps and jagged logs I'd been emotionally attached to, this thing? Luxury. I dragged it into my cave like I just won the prehistoric lottery, sat on it, wiggled, adjusted my posture like a sophisticated toad. For the first time in forever, I felt elevated. Boom, couch, invented by me. Now, was it a good couch? No. Was it ergonomic? Absolutely not. But it was mine, and soon everyone wanted a turn. Grog brought moss to make it extra comfy. Uba carved a mammoth into the side. Snurk peed on it, which we did not appreciate. But the point is, we sat together, talked, farted, existed. Suddenly, sitting became an activity. No longer just something you do when you give up on hunting. It became a lifestyle. Flash forward to modern humans. You. Yes, you. Look at you now. Couch potatoes with Netflix passwords and neck pillows that cost more than my entire cave. You sit for 12 hours a day and call it resting. Meanwhile, I once got attacked by a raccoon just for sitting too long under a tree. You've taken my humble rock butt rest and turned it into a sectional monstrosity with USB ports. There are couches now that recline, vibrate, charge phones, and even order pizza. Okay, maybe not yet, but soon. But let me ask you this, dear future spawn. When was the last time you sat with your people and just existed? Not doom scrolling, not pretending to laugh at TikToks, not yelling at strangers online about soup opinions. I invented the couch because I wanted peace, a place to be, to let the saber-tooth chase tomorrow's version of me while today's version just exhaled. And you have thousands of soft, overpriced couches and still no peace. So here's your homework. Tonight, turn off the glowing rectangle. Invite your favorite humans. Sit on your absurdly plush furniture. Fart loudly if you must. And talk about nothing, about everything. Because sometimes the greatest invention isn't the thing itself. It's what it lets you feel. Connected, lazy, human. So yes, I, UG Flatbutt Rock Bounce, give you permission to chill. Just remember who sat first. Day, month, year around 22,000 years ago. Flirting in the time of mammoths. Dear grandchildren who think love means swiping right. Back in my day, we didn't have Tinder. We had fire, berries, and the art of not smelling too bad. And if you wanted to win someone's heart, you had to work for it. Like, physically drag a dead deer across the valley kind of work. Flirting was an extreme sport. First, you had to get their attention. Grunt softly, but not too softly. Wave your arms like a distressed bird. Or casually stand near them while showing off your biggest rock. Yes, rock size mattered. Then came the compliments. We didn't have words like gorgeous or hot. So we said stuff like, your hair is less matted than usual. I like how you only drool on one side of your mouth. Strong feet, good for running from bears. If they laughed or didn't throw a stick at you, that was a green light. And let's talk gifts. Modern folks give flowers. We gave lizard tails, shiny pebbles, or a suspiciously squishy fruit. One guy gave his crush half a mammoth rib. They're still together. Once paired up, we did romantic things like sit in silence by the fire for 3 hours, pick ticks off each other, watch the stars and try not to freeze. Kissing? Yeah, it happened. But it was more like two confused people bumping mouths and going, no tongue. We thought it might be poisonous. Some even sang for love. Well, sang is generous. It was mostly howling, yodeling, or yelling the other person's name into a canyon. Sometimes it worked. Other times, wolves came. Heartbreak existed too. If someone rejected you, you didn't cry on your mammoth pillow. You screamed at the moon for 6 nights and then moved 3 valleys away. We believed, new cave, new me, and that, dear descendants, is how love bloomed, raw, loud, and weirdly sticky. So next time you get ghosted after a coffee date, just remember, at least you didn't get rejected after bringing someone a dead beaver with your bare hands. Love awkwardly, your romantically confused ancestors. Day, month, year around 18,000 years ago, the first art exhibition, aka Cave Wall Flex. Dear future humans with your AI-generated anime profiles and Canva accounts, before we had aesthetic, we had charcoal, blood, and determination. One day, someone stared at a cave wall and said, "Yo, what if I drew that big thing we tried to eat yesterday?" Boom. Art was born. But let's back up. It started when Uncle Grog dipped his hand in berry juice and slapped it on the wall. Not because he was a creative genius, he just slipped. But the handprint looked cool. So we all started doing it. Suddenly every cave was like, live, laugh, hunt mammoth. Then came the animals. We painted buffaloes, deer, rhinos, all with suspiciously tiny legs. Why? Perspective was hard. Also, most artists had never actually seen a whole animal. They were usually hiding behind a bush screaming. Sometimes we added dots or spirals. Why? No clue. Maybe it was ancient Morse code. Maybe we were just bored and waiting for firewood. Now don't get it twisted, this was serious business. If you ruin someone's cave doodle, they'd throw a rock at your face. One guy accidentally smeared a horse painting. He had to sleep outside for 3 moons. And yes, we had critiques. This bison lacks emotional depth. Your mammoth looks like a potato. Is this supposed to be a cow or your mother-in-law? The cave became our first gallery. Family came by, stared at the wall, grunted in approval, then left half a roasted lizard as a tip. Sometimes kids tried to draw too. We let them, mostly because they wouldn't stop screaming otherwise. Now here's the best part. We didn't draw because we wanted likes. We drew because we wanted to remember. Remember the hunt. Remember the story. And maybe, just maybe, impress that one cute person from the other side of the fire pit. So when you scroll through your feed today and feel overwhelmed by perfect photos, just remember, your ancestors once proudly showed off a blob with 4 legs and called it the spirit of the elk. We made art out of nothing but dirt and dreams. And somehow that was enough. Paint with your heart, your OG content creators. A tale of ice and fire, the climate saga of the Quaternary period. Once upon a time, specifically about 2.58 million years ago, Earth decided to go a little dramatic with its weather. Welcome to the Quaternary period, the most recent chapter in Earth's geological story, and quite possibly its most bipolar one yet. One moment, glaciers the size of continents. The next, palm trees pushing up the Alps. And humans? Just trying to figure out how not to freeze or fry. The Quaternary is split into 2 neat parts. The Pleistocene epoch from 2.58 million to about 11,700 years ago, and the Holocene epoch, which is still going strong today. Throughout this time, climate has been the real main character, shaping evolution, migration, extinction, and every single choice your caveman ancestors made, including the choice to invent socks. For now, I will tell you about the terrifying weather, climate, and animals of the Jurassic period, to the point where even going to the bathroom is scary. Ice, ice, baby, the Pleistocene Chronicles. Let's start with the Pleistocene, also known as the Age of Ice. The Earth's thermostat went absolutely rogue. Instead of a steady climate, the planet decided to flip between long periods of freezing cold, glacials, and shorter, warmer breaks, interglacials. Think of it as Earth doing interval training. Except instead of building abs, it was building ice sheets up to 3 kilometers thick. During the cold phases, massive glaciers spread across North America, Europe, and Asia. Sea levels dropped by over 100 meters, exposing land bridges like the famous Bering Land Bridge, which humans and animals used to migrate between continents. Your great-great-great-grand caveman might have walked from Siberia to Alaska and complained the entire way about the snow. Meanwhile, equatorial regions didn't get ice sheets, but they did get cooler, drier climates. Rainforests shrank, deserts grew, grasslands expanded, becoming mammoth highways for creatures like giant sloths, saber-toothed cats, and, of course, our fur-draped ancestors. Global chill, local chaos. Now, just because it was the Ice Age doesn't mean the whole world was frozen like a popsicle. Climate was incredibly regional and variable. For example, while Europe was buried under ice, parts of Africa and Asia were experiencing megadroughts. Your ancestors living in East Africa probably weren't building snowmen. They were dodging dust storms and hoping for a decent rain season. Also, the glacial-interglacial cycles weren't random mood swings. They were triggered by Milankovitch cycles, subtle changes in Earth's orbit, tilt, and wobble that affected how much sunlight different parts of the Earth received. These orbital tweaks basically told the planet when to chill out and when to turn up the heat. Fun fact: the current scientific estimate is that there were more than 20 glacial cycles during the Pleistocene. That's 20-plus dramatic makeovers where glaciers advanced and retreated like Hollywood divas. Enter Homo sapiens, born in a cold snap. Humans evolved right in the middle of all this icy chaos. Talk about timing. Our ancestors were not only dealing with predators, diseases, and a complete lack of Wi-Fi. They were also trying to adapt to rapid, unpredictable climate swings. This made mobility a survival superpower. Entire groups of early humans followed animals, seasons, and freshwater, moving constantly to stay alive. Climate change wasn't a political debate back then. It was Tuesday. The cold forced creativity. Fire, fur clothing, insulated shelters, and, eventually, community cooperation. Hunting in groups wasn't just a social event, it was climate-driven strategy. And when things got warmer, agriculture. The end of the last ice age made farming possible in the Fertile Crescent, setting the stage for civilization itself. The Big Thaw, the Holocene epoch. About 11,700 years ago, the last ice age ended. The Earth slowly warmed, glaciers retreated, sea levels rose again, and the Holocene dawned like a long, mild exhale. This epoch is basically the quiet after the storm, or at least it was until humans started messing with the thermostat. During the Holocene, climate stabilized enough for agriculture to spread, cities to rise, and eventually, empires to squabble over who invented the wheel. But even the Holocene wasn't a total climate snooze fest. There were still bumps in the weather road. The Younger Dryas, 12,900 to 11,700 years ago, a sudden, sharp return to cold right before the Holocene began. Nature's last ice throw before calming down. The Holocene climatic optimum, 9,000,5,000 years ago, a warm period when Sahara had lakes and green pastures. Yes, camels once swam. The medieval warm period, 900 to 1300 AD, Vikings colonized Greenland and drank wine in England. The Little Ice Age, 1300 to 1850 AD, rivers froze, crops failed, and everyone got moodier. Blame this one for most depressing paintings from the 1600s. Climate's role in everything, literally. Let's be real. If Earth's climate had been stable and boring during the Quaternary, you wouldn't exist. Climate change during this period pushed evolution, shaped migration routes, decided which species survived, and inspired everything from the invention of boots to the first religious rituals. When water sources dried up, humans moved. When food got scarce, they hunted smarter or started farming. When mammoths disappeared, we made pet dogs and called it a day. Climate didn't just shape ecosystems, it forced innovation. And while it's tempting to think of ice ages as ancient history, the Quaternary period isn't over. Technically, we're still in it, living in an interglacial called the Holocene, which is only about 11,700 years old. In geological terms, that's like yesterday, a not-so-frozen warning. Here's the kicker. If natural changes could turn the planet into a frozen tundra, imagine what modern emissions can do in the blink of a geological eye. The Quaternary shows us how sensitive Earth's climate really is. A tiny wobble in the orbit, boom, ice sheets. A volcanic eruption, bam, century of cooling. Today, we're dumping greenhouse gases into the atmosphere faster than ever, essentially speedrunning climate change without knowing the final boss. So yes, understanding Quaternary climate isn't just for nerds. It's a mirror. It shows us where we came from and what might happen if we keep poking the thermostat too hard. TLDR, Quaternary climate at a glance. Started 2.58 million years ago, still ongoing. Divisions: Pleistocene, icy chaos; Holocene, warm and human-friendly. Key features: glacial cycles, massive ice sheets, migration paths, climate-triggered evolution. Why it matters: it shaped everything, landscapes, species, even your morning coffee. No agriculture, no beans. Climate now, still technically in a warm period, but heating faster than any natural cycle in the past 2 million years. So the next time you complain about the weather, remember, your ancestors survived saber-toothed winters, prehistoric heat waves, and sudden floods, all without Google Maps or Gore-Tex. Maybe give them a little credit, and maybe stop using plastic straws. Woolly mammoth, Mammuthus primigenius, the OG of cold weather swagger. The woolly mammoth wasn't just an elephant in a fur coat. It was the mammal that defined Ice Age glam. Standing up to 13 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing around 6 tons, these furry giants were like the cozy, snow-crunching tanks of the Quaternary. Imagine your average elephant. Now slap on a shaggy double layer of fur, a 3-inch thick layer of fat, and those iconic spiral tusks that could grow over 15 feet long. Now you've got yourself a walking fortress against the cold. They roamed the Mammoth Steppe, a sprawling frozen grassland stretching from Western Europe to North America. It was basically an all-you-can-eat buffet of tough grasses and sedges, which these guys devoured like prehistoric lawnmowers. They used their curved tusks not only for defense and dominance displays, but also to dig through snow for food, like nature's plows. But don't let their cuddly look fool you. These were social, intelligent creatures with complex herds, matriarchal leadership, and a memory for danger. Think of them as the wise grandmas of the Ice Age, just with more hair and tusks. Sadly, as the climate warmed and human hunting pressure increased, their numbers dwindled. By around 4,000 years ago, the last of them were chilling, literally, on a remote Siberian island. Today, the closest thing we have is the modern elephant, who probably looks at snow and says, "Nope." The woolly mammoth's legacy is everywhere, from cave paintings to freezer aisle mascots. They remind us not only of the brutal beauty of the Ice Age, but also of the fragile line between survival and extinction. If they had Instagram, It would have been all dramatic tusk selfies in the tundra with captions like, "So much drama, but still surviving elephant, saber-toothed cat, Smilodon fatalis. When you're 80% muscle, 20% murder teeth. Forget your house cat." Smilodon was built like a WWE wrestler on 4 legs, with fangs longer than your smartphone. Clocking in at around 600 pounds, this apex predator was all jawline and biceps. Its iconic 7-inch saber teeth weren't for chewing. They were for puncturing vital organs like a furry assassin. One good stab and dinner was served. Despite popular belief, it wasn't a fast chaser. Nah, this cat was the ambush king. Picture it crouched in the tall grass of Ice Age Los Angeles. Yes, LA had lions before influencers, waiting for some unsuspecting bison to walk by, and then, boom, 1 pounce, a bone-crushing bite, and game over. His body was weirdly short and stocky, like it skipped cardio day forever. Strong limbs, powerful neck, and a snarl that probably haunted every mammoth's dreams. But here's the twist. Those giant teeth were kind of fragile. One bad angle and snap, they were done. So Smilodon had to be smart about when to use them, like choosing when to drop the mic in a rap battle. They likely hunted in groups, which means, yes, we had packs of these murder cats coordinating takedowns. That's like having a squad of furry ninjas who all bench 500 pounds. Sadly, as the big prey disappeared and humans rolled up with spears and attitude, Smilodon couldn't keep up. But it left behind fossil-filled pits in La Brea and a legacy of sheer Ice Age badassery. Giant ground sloth, Megatherium americanum, the lazy king that could wreck you. Imagine a sloth the size of a small car. Now imagine it standing up on its hind legs, swinging its razor-sharp claws like it just didn't care. That's Megatherium, slow, yes, but 100% unbothered and low-key terrifying. Growing up to 20 feet long and weighing over 4 tons. This dude was like a prehistoric forklift covered in shag carpet. It lumbered through ancient South America, munching leaves, roots, and whatever plants it could reach by yanking down trees like a vegetarian Godzilla. Despite being a peaceful plant eater, Megatherium had claws like scythes and bones thick enough to break a spear in half. Some scientists even think it might have scavenged meat occasionally. Yup, you heard that right. This gentle leaf cruncher might have pulled up to a carcass like, "Y'all gonna finish that?" It walked on the sides of its feet to protect those claws, and had a powerful tail it could use to balance while rearing up. Imagine a sloth twerking, but in a way that could flatten your hut. Extinct around 10,000 years ago, probably due to climate change and humans being, well, humans. But Megatherium still slaps. It's the ultimate reminder that slow doesn't mean soft. And if you ever complain about sloths being lazy, just remember, their cousin could have crushed you like a juice box. The giant short-faced bear, Arctodus simus, the original gym bro of the Ice Age. Meet the apex predator that didn't need to sneak, because everyone else just ran. The giant short-faced bear, Arctodus simus, was the ultimate heavyweight of the Quaternary Fitness Club, standing nearly 12 feet tall on its hind legs. Yes, like an NBA player on stilts. This beast wasn't your cuddly picnic basket snatcher. It was nature's version of a powerlifter on a protein rampage. Its name comes from its unusually short snout, which gave it a very flat, no-nonsense face. Kind of like it was always mildly disappointed in you. But don't let the short face fool you. Behind that mug was one of the strongest bite forces of any bear, capable of crunching through bones like chips at a party. And while most modern bears have that friendly, bulky look, Arctodus had long legs that made it look like a linebacker crossed with a greyhound. Fast, furious, and freakishly fit. Scientists think it was a cursorial predator, which is fancy talk for, I will run you down across the frozen plains and eat you for dinner. Estimates suggest it could sprint at speeds up to 40 miles per hour. Imagine trying to outrun a grizzly that's also part cheetah. Yeah, good luck. Its diet? Mostly meat with a sprinkle of whatever the heck I want. It likely scavenged as well as hunted, which basically means it could take food from smaller predators and nobody dared say a word. Saber-toothed cats? Step aside. Dire wolves? Not so dire anymore. What took down this Ice Age unit? Climate change? Habitat shifts? And possibly even those pesky little hairless bipeds with spears. Yes, us. As humans got better at hunting and organizing, even legends like Arctidus eventually vanished. Today, the closest you'll get to seeing something like this is watching a bodybuilder sprint through a dog park. But once upon a time, in the cold breath of the Quaternary, the short-faced bear ruled the land, not with stealth, but with sheer come-at-me-bro energy. The Irish elk, Megaloceros giganteus. When nature said, go big or go extinct, if there were red carpets in the Ice Age, the Irish elk would have needed a very wide one. Why? Because this majestic beast had antlers that spanned over 12 feet across. Like nature decided to build a satellite dish and accidentally stuck it on a deer. Despite the name, this legendary animal wasn't exclusive to Ireland, though they did find a lot of fossils there. And it wasn't a true elk either. What it was, however, was a jaw-dropping, grass-chomping, fashionably over-accessorized giant deer. Imagine a moose, a caribou, and a cathedral all had a baby, you'd get the Irish elk. Standing around 7 feet tall at the shoulder, that's NBA height without the antlers. The real star of the show was its headgear. These massive antlers weren't just for show. Well, actually, they kind of were. Males likely used them to impress mates and square up with rivals in the world's most hardcore seasonal dating show. Hey ladies, look how many calories I can waste growing these useless antlers. Must mean I'm strong and sexy, but of course, there's a downside to hauling 2 trees on your head. These things were heavy, weighing over 80 pounds. Walking through forests with that much bone overhead? Not ideal. One wrong turn and crack, you're wedged between 2 trees like a prehistoric coat hanger. Scientists debate what really caused their extinction. Climate change probably shrunk their ideal open grassland habitats. The overgrowth of forests didn't help their antler situation either. Imagine trying to reverse park a school bus in a jungle. Oh, and of course, early humans probably hunted them too. Because nothing says power like wearing the bones of the planet's most majestic deer. But let's not forget, the Irish elk was a symbol of Ice Age grandeur. It didn't just exist. It strutted, clacked, and headbanged its way through the frozen plains, a walking, grass-eating monument to excess and elegance. Today, all we have are museum bones and the haunting reminder. Sometimes bigger isn't better, especially when your hat weighs more than your body. Haast's eagle, Hyraetus murray. Death from Above, New Zealand edition. Imagine you're a chonky flightless bird just vibing in ancient New Zealand. Life is good. No land predators, food's everywhere, and your only enemy is gravity. Suddenly, whoosh, a shadow blocks the sun. You look up and it's not a cloud. It's a Haast's eagle, the largest eagle to ever exist. And your day just got a lot worse. This bird was no joke. With a wingspan of up to 3 meters, 10 feet, and weighing around 15 kilograms, 33 pounds. Haast's eagle was built like a flying bodybuilder. It had talons the size of a lion's claws. Basically, nature gave it butcher knives for feet. And unlike today's eagles that snack on rabbits or fish, Haast's eagle had its eyes set on Moa, a giant, 500-pound ostrich-like bird that couldn't fly and definitely couldn't run fast enough. That's right, this eagle regularly dove onto birds the size of refrigerators. From the treetops, it would launch itself at 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour, slam into the moa like a winged missile, and drive its talons straight into the neck or back. Instant down, instant dinner. And here's the drama: humans showed up. The Maori people arrived in New Zealand roughly 700 years ago and, being human, started eating all the moa. Within a couple centuries, the moa were gone. And without their main food source, Haast's eagle starved out too. Lesson of the day? If your entire life strategy is based on murdering one very specific type of bird, maybe diversify. But let's be honest, Haast's eagle was iconic. It inspired Maori legends of the Poakai, a monstrous bird that carried people away. And you know what? That's not even exaggerated. A toddler-sized human? Light work for this thing. Today's eagles are majestic, sure, but Haast's eagle? That was nature in full horror movie mode. If Jurassic Park ever needed a late cameo, this bird could have burst in through the skylight and reminded everyone that dinosaurs never really left. They just grew feathers. So next time you see a pigeon awkwardly fighting over crumbs, just remember, their ancient cousin could have yeeted you off a cliff for lunch. Woolly rhinoceros, Coelodonta antiquitatis. Fuzzy, horny, and easily offended. Picture a rhinoceros. Now give it a shaggy wool coat, 2 horns like medieval weaponry, and the temperament of a bouncer at an Ice Age nightclub. Congratulations, you've just met the woolly rhinoceros, arguably the fluffiest rage machine of the Quaternary period. These hefty herbivores roamed the frozen steppes of Europe and northern Asia like they owned the place, which, frankly, they kind of did. We're talking up to 4 meters long, 13 feet, and weighing over 2,000 kilograms, 4,400 pounds. Basically, they were like SUVs with fur and horns, and zero patience. Their front horn, which could grow to over 1 meter, 3.3 feet long, wasn't just for show. It was used to plow through snow to uncover grass. Yes, this unit was a snow shovel, and also to casually threaten anything that got too close, including other woolly rhinos. They were solitary creatures, and if you got within personal space range, the answer was always no. What made them Ice Age fashion icons was their thick woolly coat, designed to survive the worst glacial winds, with an underlayer of dense fur and an outer layer like a prehistoric parka. Add in short ears and tails to avoid frostbite, and you had one of nature's best-dressed survivors. They shared the tundra catwalk with mammoths, reindeer, and humans, who, of course, couldn't resist trying to draw them. Cave paintings from over 30,000 years ago show impressively detailed woolly rhinos, which either means our ancestors respected them, or were actively warning each other, don't poke the fuzzy murder cow. And yes, humans probably helped drive them extinct. Between climate change, overhunting, and being not exactly great at adapting, the woolly rhino went extinct about 10,000 years ago. A tragic end for an Ice Age icon who just wanted to eat grass in peace and stab things occasionally. If this creature existed today, it would have a huge TikTok following, a devoted fan base of cottagecore girls, and would trend every time it smashed a car on camera. Sadly, all we have now are fossils, cave art, and the suspicion that these guys would have hated being hugged. So next time you wear a winter coat, just remember, the woolly rhino was the winter coat. Short-faced bear, Arctodus simus. When evolution said, make bear, but unhinged, you think grizzlies are scary? That's cute. Meet their chaotic prehistoric cousin, the short-faced bear, also known as Arctodus simus, the biggest, baddest land carnivore of the Quaternary. Basically, if a bear and a linebacker had a child, raised it on protein shakes and chaos, and then released it into the Ice Age, boom, you've got this dude. Standing up, this nightmare fuel could reach 12 feet, 3.7 meters, tall. That's taller than a giraffe's shoulders. When walking on all fours, it was still taller than most grown humans. This wasn't a bear that ambled through the woods. It strode across plains like it had unpaid beef with the horizon. Its name comes from its oddly short, snubbed-looking face, which gave it a powerful bite and an aggressive profile. But the real horror? Those legs. They were long, like disturbingly long for a bear. It looked like someone stretched a grizzly on stilts. Scientists believe these legs made it incredibly fast. We're talking up to 40 miles per hour, 65 kilometers per hour. That's faster than Usain Bolt. And yes, it ran that fast while being the size of a small car. Now, was it a predator? A scavenger? The truth is, probably both. Like that one guy at a party who shows up with no snacks but eats all the chips. The short-faced bear likely bullied other predators, like saber-toothed cats or wolves, into giving up their meals. If it wanted your mammoth leftovers, it got them. No questions asked. And it didn't just rely on intimidation, it had the jaw power to crush bone, meaning it could chow down on marrow like it was a soft baguette. Basically, it was a walking bone blender with anger issues and zero chill. Sadly, or maybe luckily, it disappeared around 11,000 years ago, possibly due to the changing climate, food shortages, and the rise of smarter, spear-throwing humans who preferred not to become snacks. In modern terms, the short-faced bear would be that gym bro who never skips leg day, steals your lunch, and leaves bear-sized dents in your car. Extinct? Yes. Forgotten? Never. Because deep down, we all fear the day a bear learns how to sprint like a cheetah and steal our barbecue ribs. Irish elk, Megaloceros giganteus. When antlers go full diva mode, say hello to the Irish elk, the ultimate flex of the deer family. But don't let the name fool you. It wasn't exclusively Irish, and it wasn't really an elk. It was more like a deer that lost a bet with evolution and got cursed with the biggest, most impractical headgear in history. Let's start with the headline. Antlers up to 12 feet, 3.6 meters, wide. That's wider than a king-size bed. These weren't just antlers, they were air traffic hazards. A single Irish elk walking through a forest must have sounded like someone reversing a delivery truck into every tree. Now imagine trying to flirt with that kind of hardware. Because yes, scientists believe those majestic monstrosities evolved due to sexual selection. In simpler terms, the ladies liked M big. So the guys just kept growing bigger antlers generation after generation, until they were walking around like living coat racks with commitment issues. Standing about 7 feet tall at the shoulder, that's Shaquille O'Neal in deer form, and weighing up to 1,500 pounds. The Irish elk was huge, handsome, and probably hella frustrated. Moving through Ice Age terrain with those antlers was basically everybody's worst IKEA experience, except the furniture was attached to your skull. And yes, the name Irish comes from the fact that a lot of well-preserved fossils were found in Irish peat bogs. But this drama queen roamed all over Europe and Asia. It wasn't picky about zip codes, just about making an entrance. So why did it go extinct around 7,700 years ago? One theory, the antlers got too ridiculous. As forests thickened after the Ice Age, those enormous racks became a liability, getting tangled, wasting energy, or simply attracting way too much unwanted attention. Think of it like trying to navigate a modern city with a satellite dish on your head. Stylish, yes. Practical, no. In today's terms, the Irish elk is the prehistoric equivalent of that guy at the gym with muscles so big he can't scratch his back. Impressive, but definitely overcompensating. Gone, but never forgotten, the Irish elk reminds us of one timeless truth. Sometimes, love makes you grow 12-foot antlers and regret everything. Woolly rhinoceros, Coelodonta antiquitatis. The OG fuzzy bulldozer. If a rhino and a shag carpet had a love child, it would be the woolly rhinoceros. Imagine the sheer audacity of nature saying, "Hey, this animal is already huge, cranky, and shaped like a battering ram. You know what it needs? A winter coat and attitude." Living during the Pleistocene epoch, the woolly rhino was built like a prehistoric bulldozer with a vibe that screamed, "I don't move around things, I move through them." It stood up to 6 feet tall at the shoulder and could weigh over 6,000 pounds. That's more than a pickup truck wearing a yak costume. Now let's talk about the horn. Not just any horn. This bad boy could stretch up to 3 feet long, curving forward like a natural snowplow. Scientists believe it was used for all sorts of drama. Clearing snow to reach grass, fighting off predators, or settling disputes with other rhinos about who got the best Ice Age parking spot. Their fur? Thick, shaggy, and Ice Age chic. Underneath that fashion-forward fuzz, they had a hefty fat layer to survive those brutal European and Siberian winters. Basically, they were walking insulated tanks, except cuter from a distance. Diet-wise, these guys were surprisingly chill. Just grasses and other boring tundra salads. But don't let the herbivore label fool you. Get too close, and they'd probably flatten you without a second thought. The woolly rhino didn't run from saber-toothed cats. The cats ran from it. And the best part? Humans met these chunky legends. In fact, they were so iconic that ancient people painted woolly rhinos on cave walls, probably with the caption, "Do not engage. Big nope energy." They went extinct around 10,000 years ago, likely due to climate change and human hunting. And honestly, who could blame early humans? That much meat and fur in one unit? That's an Ice Age Costco haul. So if the mammoth was the majestic celebrity of the Ice Age, the woolly rhino was its grumpy, overbuilt bouncer. Not flashy, not delicate, just pure Ice Age muscle with bangs. Gone, but not forgotten. This prehistoric powerhouse still charges through our imaginations. Loud, fluffy, and unapologetically solid. Ancestor Diaries. Epilogue, the Quaternary Exit Interview. Dear descendants, so that's it. We did it. We crawled, we screamed, we froze, we danced around fire, we made things up to explain thunder, we painted cows on walls, and somewhere along the way we became you. Congratulations on being the final product of 2.6 million years of trial, error, and accidental genius. You're welcome. Now, before we clock out of this chilly little chapter called the Quaternary Period, let's sit by the metaphorical fire or central heating and talk. Let's look back on the mud, the mammoths, the mushrooms, and the mistakes, and figure out what this era was really trying to teach us. A planet that never stood still, climate as a teacher. The Quaternary was never peaceful. From the moment it began around 2.6 million years ago, Earth was on a weather roller coaster. Ice sheets grew like grumpy landlords, taking over continents. Then they melted like forgotten ice cream, flooding the world in chaos. And then they came back, again and again. It wasn't just cold. It was unpredictable, unforgiving, unrelenting. But maybe that's exactly why life pushed itself so hard. Our ancestors didn't evolve during a beach vacation. They evolved in a snowstorm with no Wi-Fi. Every generation had to learn one truth. Nothing stays the same. In a way, the climate of the Quaternary was like a wise, if slightly violent, old mentor. It forced humanity to adapt, to move, to rethink everything. It taught us that safety is never guaranteed, that change isn't a threat, it's a fact. And sometimes the storm you fear is the one that shapes you. The rise of us, Homo sapiens, and the struggle to survive. We weren't the first hominins, and frankly, we weren't the biggest, strongest, or even hairiest. But we had just enough brain and just enough teamwork to stand a chance. There were others before us, Neanderthals with powerful builds, Denisovans with mystery genetics, and shadowy cousins lost to time. But slowly, awkwardly, and with a lot of tripping over mammoth poop, we found a way forward. We didn't win with muscle. We won by sharing, by scheming, by learning. We learned to throw rocks better, to work in teams, to make fire and pass stories. We mourned our dead. We decorated caves not because we were bored, but because we had something to say. We became more than animals, not overnight, but inch by inch. It's humbling to realize that our dominance wasn't guaranteed. Every time we made it through a winter, it was a miracle of trial and error. Our story is not one of triumph, but one of survival, barely. The giants that walked beside us and then didn't. Imagine waking up and seeing a sloth the size of a car casually eating leaves near your cave. Or trying to scare off a short-faced bear taller than LeBron James. The Quaternary was wild like that. From woolly mammoths to saber-toothed cats, these animals were more than just background scenery. They were gods, threats, neighbors, and food, often all at once. We hunted some, others hunted us, and some, like the dodo's spiritual ancestors, just looked confused the entire time. But then, they disappeared. Slowly, silently, the giant ones went first. Whether it was climate shifts or our new spears or both, the megafauna faded. And with them, something in the wild heart of the world dimmed. Their extinction was the first sign that we don't just live on this planet, we change it. Not always for the better. That lesson still echoes today. You can't erase a mammoth without erasing part of yourself too. The first fire, the first word, the first oops. You ever try to explain something without words? That's what our ancestors did with grunts, arm flails, and occasional cave art. Language was the original hack, the ultimate patch update. Once we figured out how to say more than ugh, civilization was inevitable. We learned to whisper, to warn, to woo badly. We invented gossip, which probably did more for survival than fire. Fire, by the way, was another accidental miracle. Maybe someone dropped a stick into a lightning bush and didn't die. From there, it became the hearth, the center of life. The first time we cooked meat, probably an accident. The first time we told a story, probably to cover up that accident. No, see, I meant to burn the mammoth. The Quaternary reminds us, progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from trial, error, and a whole lot of dumb luck. Faith, fear, and the first mushrooms sacrificed to the sky. At some point, lightning struck, and instead of running, we pointed and said, "Oh, someone up there's mad." Boom. Religion. Whether it was the stars, the moon, or the angry cloud voice, we began to feel that something bigger was watching. And in typical human fashion, we tried to bribe it with mushrooms and bones. Thus began the long tradition of rituals, some beautiful, some bizarre. But belief wasn't just about fear. It gave our ancestors hope, order, a reason to bury the dead gently, to paint the walls with dreams. It gave them stories to hold on to when food ran out and winter came early. Faith was our first way of making sense of the chaos. Whether it was gods, spirits, or just talking to a really weird rock, it was our way of saying, we matter. Lessons in dirt and death. Before the Quaternary, when something died, it got eaten or left to rot. Simple. But somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing the dead as food and started seeing them as people. Burial was a breakthrough. It meant we had memory, grief, respect, maybe even the first idea of legacy. And then came agriculture, the audacity of planting a seed and expecting it to come back. Changed everything. Suddenly, we weren't wanderers. We were settlers. We built homes, walls, cities. We stopped being just part of nature and started trying to control it. But the dirt that grew our food was also the same dirt we buried our dead in. The lesson: life and death are the same cycle. You eat, you live, you return. The earth doesn't forget. What the Quaternary leaves behind and why it matters. The Quaternary ends not with a bang, but with a very confused human holding an iPhone, wondering how it all got so complicated. We've inherited a world that's still shaped by ice, memory, extinction, and miracle. We still tell stories, still love, still mess up, but somewhere in all our apps and buildings and traffic jams, the echo of the Quaternary hums beneath us. It whispers, you were never meant to have control. Just curiosity, just kindness, just courage to adapt. From mammoth hunts to meme wars, we are still the same anxious, hopeful, fire-starting species. The Quaternary didn't end, it evolved into us. And the Earth is still changing, still unpredictable, but so are we. And maybe, just maybe, we're ready for what comes next. Trailer: Ancestor Diaries. Episode 15. The Historical Era. From Seed to Flag. Welcome back to Ancestor Diaries, the series where we follow the messy, funny, emotional, and sometimes ridiculous journey of our human ancestors. In the last episode, we made it through the Ice Age. We dodged saber-toothed cats, fought off hunger, invented fire, and figured out how to live in groups without biting each other too much. But this time, things get serious. Because around 10,000 years ago, we stopped surviving and started building. This is the beginning of history. First, it was simple. Someone dropped a seed in the dirt, and that seed changed everything. We stopped running after food and started growing it. We stayed in one place. We built homes, farms, and villages. Suddenly, we had extra food and with it, extra time. And when humans have time, we get creative. We started making tools, clothes, and baskets. We invented pottery, calendars, and even gods. We looked at the sky and asked, why? Then came cities, and kings, and rules, and arguments. We invented writing, not for poetry or love letters, but to track how many goats someone owed. We built monuments. We traded across deserts. We told stories about heroes, monsters, and the stars. Across the world, ancient civilizations rose. In Mesopotamia, people created the first laws. In Egypt, they built pyramids taller than dreams. In China, they mastered silk, paper, and philosophy. In the Americas, great empires studied the stars and planted golden maize. In Africa, powerful kingdoms traded gold, salt, and wisdom. Different cultures, different gods, different ideas. But one thing in common: humans didn't stop moving forward. And then came the chaos. Empires rose and fell. Armies marched. Wars exploded. Borders changed. We argued about power, about faith, about who should rule, and why. We started asking dangerous questions. What is freedom? Who gets to decide? Why do a few have so much while many have so little? Revolutions shook the world. Philosophers challenged kings. Scientists challenged beliefs. Ordinary people challenged history. We made machines. We built factories, railroads, telegraphs. We created money, markets, newspapers, and nations. The world got faster and louder and more connected. And then the modern era arrived. We flew. We photographed. We went to space. We made computers. We created the internet. And somehow we used it mostly for cat videos and memes. But we also hurt the planet. We fought terrible wars. We drew lines that divided us. We chased power and lost ourselves in the noise. Still, through it all, we kept dreaming. We kept building schools, libraries, art, and hospitals. We kept writing books, singing songs, making jokes, falling in love. We protested. We healed. We remembered. Today, we live in a world shaped by 10,000 years of choices. Some brilliant, some terrible, all human. We are the children of farmers and pharaohs, poets and pirates, revolutionaries and refugees. We are still asking questions, still making mistakes, still trying to live together, to be better, to understand where we came from, so we can decide where we're going. This is not just history. It's your story. It's our story. A story of invention, struggle, love, power, and pizza debates. Ancestor Diaries, Episode 16. The Historical Era. From planting the first seed to posting your first story. From drawing on cave walls to typing LOL at 2 a.m. From wandering barefoot to walking on the moon. This is us. This is how we became human, with all the beauty and mess that comes with it. Let's begin. Good night from the Quaternary, a healing reflection on our shared journey. Hello again, dear dreamer of time. As your eyelids grow heavy and the day's noise slowly quiets, come lie down beside the ancient campfire of memory. Tonight, we return not to the beginning of Earth, nor to its fiery youth or the reign of thunderous reptiles. No, tonight we rest in the twilight of time, the Quaternary, the most recent chapter in Earth's long, winding story. It is a chapter still being written, yes, but oh, how many beautiful verses have already passed beneath our feet. Let's close our eyes and listen. A world on the edge. The Quaternary began around 2.6 million years ago. Yesterday in geologic time, the planet was already old, already worn smooth by oceans and carved by mountains. But the air was different now. There was ice in the wind. There was urgency in the soil. And somewhere, in the shadow of glaciers and under a sun that often disappeared for centuries at a time, something miraculous stirred. Not a new volcano, not a new continent, but us, our kind. The slow dream of humanity, barefoot and shivering, yet curious beyond belief, was taking form. We began this era not as conquerors, not even as survivors. We were simply creatures trying to outlast the cold. We picked berries with clumsy hands. We followed mammoths and feared saber-toothed cats. We didn't know what we were doing, but we felt things. We felt warmth, hunger, grief, wonder, and little by little we grew into that feeling. Lessons in fire and ice. The Quaternary was a wild classroom. Glaciers would sweep down like white tsunamis, then retreat slowly, leaving forests and lakes in their wake. Deserts would rise, rainforests would fall, and through it all we moved, sometimes together, sometimes scattered. We learned to listen to the Earth's rhythm, the crunch of snow underfoot, the rustle of a predator's breath, the pattern of stars overhead. We learned to fear nature, but also to love her, and she taught us in return. She taught us how to build warmth from wood, how to cook meat until it no longer made us sick, how to paint on cave walls, telling stories when words had not yet been born. We carved bone into tools, stone into hope. We were not the fastest, not the strongest, but we were stubborn and we remembered. We remembered everything: the path to fresh water, the calls of birds, the shape of our mother's lullaby. And when our hands grew skilled, we remembered in art, in burial, in song. Isn't that a kind of magic? Farewells and first steps. The quaternary held great beauty, yes, but also great loss. We watched the mammoths fall one by one under the weight of climate and time and sometimes our own hunger. The glyptodons, the cave bears, the giant sloths, they all said goodbye before we knew their names. And yet, this too shaped us. We learned not just to kill, but to mourn, to remember what was lost. We buried our dead. We spoke to the sky. We began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, life wasn't just about surviving, but about meaning. Why do we dream? Why do we cry when others cry? Why do we want to be seen, even by gods we cannot see? These questions rose with the steam of our breath on icy mornings. And though we never quite answered them, we kept asking. That was enough. Seeds of tomorrow. And so the quaternary gave birth to a new kind of being. Not a beast, not a god, but something in between. Something that planted seeds not just in the soil, but in thought. We started farming. We built homes. Not just shelters, but homes. Places with laughter and smoke and stories. We tamed wolves into dogs and fire into hearth. We stopped running and started staying. And when we stayed, we started to build. We built families. We built villages. We built ideas. And each time the earth shuddered, through famine, flood, or freeze, we found new ways to hold each other. Sometimes we failed. Sometimes we fought. But even in our worst hours, we remembered something ancient. We belonged to each other, what the quaternary taught us. So what does this long, icy chapter of time whisper to us? Here at the edge of sleep, tells us that change is not the enemy, that adaptation is sacred, that everything, every creature, every mountain, every moment of warmth was forged through challenge. Even now, we carry in our blood the echoes of survival, creativity, resilience. It tells us that we are not separate from nature. We are not above her. We are part of her breathing body. The wind in the trees is our great-grandmother's breath. The rivers carry the tears of those who came before. Tells us that loss is not the end. We have lost so much. Species, languages, landscapes. But in that loss, we learned how to cherish, how to protect, how to remember, and perhaps most quietly, the quaternary tells us to hope. Hope, even when the cold feels endless. Hope, even when the mammoths disappear. Hope, even when we forget who we are, because the earth always reminds us. We were never alone. Not truly. The thread that connects us all. When you look in the mirror, do you see them? The ancient ones. The barefoot wanderers. The artists of caves. The bone flute players. The fire bringers. You carry their blood, yes, but also their stories, their laughter, their fears, their fragile, fierce hope. You are the dream they didn't have words for. And you, too, are walking through your own ice age. One made of deadlines, losses, heartbreaks, change. But just like them, you are learning to make shelter, to paint meaning, to hold others near the fire. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. A soft goodbye for now. So now, as your body sinks into stillness and the quiet of night wraps gently around you. Imagine this, a circle of our ancestors, sitting by a fire that never went out. They see you, they are proud, not because you conquered the world, but because you kept showing up. Because even on days when the snow was high and the food was gone and the future looked uncertain, you sang anyway. You held someone's hand anyway. You looked at the stars and wondered, what if? And that wondering changed everything. Dream onward. Sleep now, dreamer. Let the wind of 2 million years lull you. Let the heartbeat of Earth, the same rhythm that echoed through mammoth bones and stone drums, rock you gently into tomorrow. You are not the end of the story. You are a bridge, a breath, a torch passed forward. And though the quaternary may one day fade into another name, another era, what it taught us will never leave. That to be human is to be unfinished, beautifully unfinished. Good night, child of Earth. We'll see you in the next chapter. I was there. Confessions of a Prehistoric Poop. A fossilized turd's tale of destiny, digestion, and legacy. They call me coprolite now. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? Like a rare mineral, maybe something elves would wear in a Tolkien novel. But don't let the name fool you. I am, quite literally, ancient poop. I wasn't always this hard and dignified. Oh no, 17,000 years ago, I was warm, gooey, and very fresh. A steaming pile of partially digested mammoth, sprinkled with some half-chewed berries, and lovingly deposited by a sweaty, barefoot Homo sapiens who had no idea he was making history. He squatted, grunted, glanced around to make sure no saber-toothed tigers were watching, and dropped me like yesterday's thoughts. No ceremony, no thank you, not even a leaf to cover me. Rude. He walked off. I stayed. Time passed, a lot of time. I watched glaciers creep like giant white monsters across the land, then melt like sad giants. Rivers rose and dried up. Forests came and went. Mammoths danced, then vanished. Sloths the size of minivans roamed by. At some point, a wild dog sniffed me and decided I wasn't worth the effort. But I endured, hardened, literally. I turned to stone, and like fine wine or embarrassing high school tweets, I aged and became relevant again. Flash forward a few millennia, enter the modern humans. They wore pants, talked to shiny rectangles. One of them had a brush, a pickaxe, and eyes that lit up when she saw me. I was gently unearthed, placed in a little box, and carried off with the care usually reserved for newborns or vintage Star Wars collectibles. That's when I learned the truth. I was important. Turns out I'm basically a prehistoric time capsule. Inside me, clues to ancient diets, parasites, migration routes, seasonal plant cycles, even early microbiomes. I'm not just poop. I'm data. I'm a snapshot of daily life in the Upper Paleolithic, compressed into one elegant, formerly smelly form. You see, cave paintings get all the attention. Oh, look at this buffalo on the wall. But they're just pictures. Me, I'm evidence. Cold, fossilized, colon-transit evidence. You want to know what your ancestors ate? Whether they were stressed? What they chewed on when their partner broke up with them during the Ice Age? I'm your guy. In fact, I've been analyzed under microscopes, scanned in 3D, X-rayed, even sliced up with consent. I'm a professional. I've been featured in lectures, academic journals, podcasts titled Dung and Destiny, and a YouTube video with 2 million views titled This Fossilized Poop Changed Everything. Not bad for something once flushed into a field. And let me tell you, I'm not the only one. I've got cousins all over the world. From ancient wolf dung in Canadian caves to hyena poop pyramids in Africa. Some of us even helped prove that early humans and Neanderthals lived in the same caves. Think about that poop as forensic roommate drama. But back to me. I've overheard scientists debate my contents like sommeliers judging wine. Note the fibrous texture. Possibly wild onion? A hint of undigested bone. Ah yes, the subtle acidity of prehistoric gastrointestinal distress. If I had feelings, I'd blush. You might ask, isn't that gross? Maybe, but isn't childbirth gross too? And yet, that's sacred. Same with me. I'm part of the human story, the real, unfiltered, behind-the-scenes story. The one where people didn't just invent fire and tools, but also had tummy aches and urgent forest detours. So, here's a little wisdom from someone who was excreted and forgotten, only to be rediscovered as a scientific celebrity. Even the messiest moments can leave a legacy. What seems disposable today might be irreplaceable tomorrow. And sometimes the stuff you're most ashamed of is the stuff that teaches others the most. So, to all you modern humans sitting on your ceramic thrones, doom scrolling while doing your business, give a little nod to your ancestors. To the ancient humans who pooped in the wild, unknowingly creating fossilized breadcrumbs for future scientists. And if you're ever feeling like you've hit rock bottom, remember me, I was literally crap. And now, I'm in a glass case at a museum, labeled Coprolite, Specimen A17, Upper Paleolithic. Now that's a glow-up, dedicated to all the ancient turds that didn't fossilize in time. You were flushed too soon. Good night, gentle traveler of time. You've come so far, across oceans of lava and mountains of ice, through the hush of ancient forests, and the roar of distant, forgotten storms. Tonight, you've walked beside creatures long gone. You've stood in the footprints of giants. And for a little while, you remembered how young the world once was. So now, you may rest. There is nothing else you need to do. No more fires to tend. No predators to watch. No need to run, or hide, or wonder if the sky will fall. The earth is quiet now. It hums like a lullaby under your bones, slow and steady, just like your breath. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let your shoulders soften. Let your mind wander far away, to a time before thoughts had words, before fears had names, when everything was still becoming. You are part of that becoming. You always have been. You were there when the first drops of rain fell on newborn stone. You were there when life first reached for the sun. You were there in every stumble, every climb, every tiny act of trying. And tonight, you are still trying, still growing, still becoming. But not now, not in this moment. Now is for stillness. Now is for peace. Imagine the stars above you as they once were, unbothered, uncounted, unhurried, just light in the darkness, like dreams scattered across the sky. They've always been there, and so have you. So lay your worries down beside you. They'll be safe. The earth can hold them for a while. No one is expecting anything from you tonight. Not the mountains, not the trees, not even the moon. You do not have to be wise. You do not have to be strong. You do not have to be anything but soft and quiet. And here, this is what your ancestors never had. A bed, a moment to exhale, a world that isn't chasing you. You can rest for them now, and for yourself. Your breath is enough. Your heartbeat is enough. You are enough. Let the rhythm of sleep rise gently to meet you, like mist rolling in over a calm lake. Let it fill your limbs, slow your thoughts, carry you softly across the space between now and tomorrow. And if tomorrow feels heavy, that's okay. There is always night again, always this place to return to, this quiet, this pause, this peace. Sleep, little one made of stars and stone. Sleep, you marvelous accident of life and luck. Sleep, you soft creature in a loud world. History is still spinning out its story, but you don't have to hold it tonight. Let time keep moving. Let the planet keep turning. You've done enough, and now you may simply rest. Good night. The earth remembers, so you don't have to.